Main event mamas bringing the heat. Talking life, love, and the wrestling beat. Step in the ring where the real ones meet. Mic in hand, yeah, we on repeat. Yeah. Tag team champs of the everyday grind. Body slammed out, leave them behind. From the school runs to the grocery lines. Still got time to drop these rhymes. Late night chats over spilled tea. Wrestling moves in reality. Balance it all like it's destiny. Mama life is the legacy. Main event mamas, we run this show. From the ropes to the roads, watch it flow. Real talk, real love, real highs, real lows. Main event mamas, let the good vibes flow.
Welcome.
What up?
She's like, I'm dealing with a baby over here. Heard. I'm Kiara.
And I'm Tanisha.
And she's Kevin, who's on
Kevin,
mute.
And you're entering the sister chat. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, we're late today. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Y'all know. Busy. Life was lifing, and busy is busy, as we tend to be. But we're going to have a good show for you. We're covering all things wrestling from the last week or so. We're going to hop in and end it on Married at First Sight. And not to forget, I know, got a lot to say. That's what happened with children. And then we are going to end it with some Married at First Sight tea. So if you're here for the Married at First Sight, you might want to skip a little bit. But if you are in it for all of it, it's best to get started. And with that, we want to remind you that you want to hit that subscribe button or whatever you're currently watching us on. We are on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. But you can find us on just about everything. Instagram, Tickety Talk, which I mentioned. Everywhere, pretty much. Even Twitch, which is not where we're streaming today, but I might update that. All right. What else? Is that it? I feel like. I know. It's been a minute. I feel like it's been a little bit. And with that, no better place to start than, to the streets. So that's where we go.
Take it to the streets. That's the streets to go.
That's right. The streets are talking.
Yo. Shh, quiet now. Leaning close. The streets are talking loud and clear. Wrestling whispers in your ear. Rumors flying, news is popping. The ropes are tight, no one's stopping. The streets are talking, yeah. You better listen. Main event mama's dropping all the wisdom.
All right, the streets had a lot to say this week. I ain't gonna hold you. We got a lot to cover. So the first thing we're gonna talk about, which I feel like is fairly obvious, that they're saying, despite what some people may think, AJ Lee is not retired. Which, who thought she was? I'd like to know. Who thought she was?
Well, you want to know something? I think, too, if you watch Unreal, how she also was wording the words, how she was using the words that she was using, you would think that her WrestleMania match was her way of saying goodbye on her terms.
Okay.
Even though, we haven't seen her. I feel like that's probably why people were thinking that, because she just kept saying how she wanted to be on her terms and she wanted the fans to have, a chance to really say goodbye, because she just pretty much got up and said, I ain't coming back after her last match before then. So, I can see why they would think that was the case.
I mean, for me, I don't think so. I couldn't see it because I knew she had breaks in her contract. So for me, I was like, she has other things she does. She was doing a whole bunch of other things before she came back to wrestling. She's a writer. She's a producer. I was just like, she just went back to do her other jobs. You know what I'm saying? And as somebody who is very job friendly of 17 other jobs, you just always have something to do. So I was like, live your life. But I didn't think she was. But they're saying that we have some potential. Maybe she's not going to enter this Paige and Nikki Bella situation, or What do you think she would be a good fit right now? Because I was like, right now, Becky is wrapped up with this whole Liv Morgan, Stephanie Vaquer thing, which is like a third wheel. We got Roxanne and we got Raquel in the hinges. Maxine, does she wrestle anymore? I don't know. Like, I feel
remember we talked about she was on the show they do not promote that's on YouTube.
Main Event. Yes, Main Event. That's crazy. They don't promote that, but that's true. It's true. I haven't seen it this week, which tells you again how much it doesn't enter my mind to watch that. So, yeah, they're just saying that, maybe she'll come back into here, but we know she'll be back one day. So, there's that. All right. Something else this is kind of cool. We talked about this during our women's panel. We talked about Kairi Sane and how, many of us will never forgive WWE for ruining that for us. Because that payoff was coming with her and Asuka. It was going to be so coming. Good. As Booker T said, it was good. And I was ready. And I was like, we was on the cusp. And then you have the audacity to cut her. Like, y'all need to work on y'all contracts. Anyway, before I get into that. Because I will. And it will be a whole thing. Apparently, there's some, she's a high-profile free agent right now. WWE is interested in wooing her back. AEW is interested in wooing her.
Why? They don't even have stories. Like they shouldn't have let her go before they completed the story. See, I know you was gonna wait, but I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking like,
we're good now.
To hear that they want her back now. Why? For what? Because at this point, that story is no longer existing. It doesn't matter about anything. And on top of that, y'all not even producing great stories for your women wrestlers right now either. So, what is the purpose of bringing her back? What is it going to be for her and EO to be going at it or come together? Like, to me, that's over and done with. Like, that storyline is dead. It's almost like even like now, if they even try to come back and bring back the story of Bianca and Naomi and Jade, because at this point, if you ain't going to finish the story, it don't make no sense for you to even put them in the same mixture or you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not going to complete the story. Like, it's no longer hot anymore. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, it does. And I think I agree with you in that. At the end of the day, if you don't finish the story, it's hard for us to be wrote back into it later. For instance, it's like reading a book and then the book ends and they come back 3 years later. Like, I don't know about you, but I done moved on. Like, I just moved on. And sometimes I have a hard time trying to get back into it because do I remember the story? And I feel like that's pretty similar to this situation. I think in relation to the Big Three story with Naomi and with Bianca, well, we know Bianca just had a baby. We know that Naomi is still living her best life away from the cameras. Even with that, we know Bianca may not, she's dealing with carpal tunnel now, which, girl, it's not fun.
Hey, Candace.
Not fun. Hi, Candace. Welcome. But it just is one of those things where they can't revisit that story now anyway. That was their moment, and it passed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that, I do feel like with Kairi, AEW might be a good fit for her. Even though their women's storylines are pretty weird too. Like, they only do so much, promoting with them. But I feel like there's an opportunity maybe for her to try something new to get in there. They do use their foreign wrestlers a lot better than WWE. They do let them keep their styles. So I think I'd love to see what Kairi looks like when she's not held back by the machine. That is WWE, right? So I feel like they would have bangers. Now, I don't know if they would have whole rivalry storylines, but they would definitely have great matches over there. So I think it's a tough spot. I think we're still looking for who can do the women's division best. And it won't make sense for her to go back to NXT. So there's that. All right. Sad news. Mustafa Ali is out indefinitely from TNA. He suffered a punctured lung and fractured ribs at TNA's lockdown. So now they're going to have to figure out how they're going to book in TNA, which is already a concern, ultimately. But we just want to send our well wishes to Mustafa Ali because that's sad. You know what I'm saying? We don't like anyone to get hurt. And then on other TNA news, Zoey Serrano premiered. recently.
She did. She did. Yesterday.
I'm
It
excited.
was yesterday.
Yes. And she aligned with her former, I hate this name, Pure Fusion Collective partner, Daria Ray, formerly Sonya Deville. And she ambushed Indy Hartwell. So that's kind of funny. Take us back to some NXT days. So with a Z360, so I don't know about nobody else. I'm excited to see her back in the big picture. I'm excited to see her officially back on our screens. TNA is in desperate need of women's star power. So I definitely feel like this is a good development. This could be a really good development. And I'm wondering, is this an opportunity for Shayna to find a new home? As long as they forget that name and never, ever, ever, ever use it again. That was just horridly awful. It's awful. So please never say that. I just had to tell y'all for reference purposes. But we also have some happy news coming out of that. We have Jessie McKay, who's in the Iconics, is pregnant with her second baby. So
Aww, nice.
That's cute. Yeah, I'm excited. I've been wondering where they are. Again, with AEW,
I know they were doing independent a lot.
They were in AEW.
I think they was on
Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I'm about to say they was on Ring of Honor.
They were also on, I think, either Collision or Dynamite for like one match, I feel like, or two, but I only saw one. So that being said, like, we hadn't seen them since May, so I was wondering. I was like, where y'all been? But obviously, if you're having a baby, that clearly comes first, as we experienced here. So that too. And then I know we're gonna get into this a little bit more because we have some bloodline stories, some WWE stories, but we know OTM came through on Monday night. They made a huge splash on the roster, pretty much decimating the main event pieces, all of them, Solo, LA Knight, yeah. The Usos, period, plural. So, I mean, they made quite a splash on the main roster, and actually, people are really excited about them. I mean, in the back, from what I'm hearing, it went over very well. That's what I got here, but I'm just saying, like,
I just want to say why his arm was so big. Like that's all I kept seeing while I was driving. So his arm is really huge. Like it's like the whole side of my face and body. That's what I felt like. I felt like it was just like some gigantic, like a squid or something. I don't know. It was just really big. It just looked really. I just need to know why.
I would like to say, why are we complaining about that? Because the more arm you have, the more ability and opportunity, and wingspan that you have to do things. I'm saying. So why is that a problem? I don't.
I was just trying to understand why it was big. I say it was a problem. I was just trying to understand. But when you put it in that piece, in that capacity of words, it makes sense.
I'm saying, I'm pretty sure my husband's arm is at least half of my body. So I'm like, and the better it is for me. You know what I'm saying? Like saying that as high level as possible. All right, Candace said, not another faction. Listen here.
I mean, I ain't gonna hold you. I definitely said the same thing too. I was like,
I did too. I was like, huh? Well, actually, first I said, well, that makes sense why they got back together on NXT. Because they were definitely
break up. Mm-hmm.
They were headed into different directions.
Mm-hmm. He was in
his
feelings
and I was confused because I was like, are they ready for the main roster? I know that Booker T was working with them in his reality of wrestling promotion that he has in Texas. But you know what? I do think we got to give them a chance. We got to at least give them 30 days to see how this works out. Royce Keys is a veteran, so he can absolutely anchor them. But I don't know. And we know that one of them was in AAA in the Pedal Stemo, except that, he got kicked out last week. So it made more sense. Hi, Dalton.
Hi, Dalton.
It made more sense why we ended up there, because considering like he left that storyline so he can come to Raw, but he is like, I can't remember his name. It'll come to me in a second because his braids do come straight to my brain. But he is Salvadorian and I believe Mexican, and he speaks fluid Spanish. And so I think he's from either, I don't know. I'm gonna say the wrong place, so I'm not gonna tell y'all where he's from. You can look it up. Hello, welcome into our chat.
Hello.
So either way, I understand your hesitation about this new faction, but I feel like we got to give them 30 days to determine whether we think they're going to make an impact. Yeah, we can't just give them 2 weeks. You know how that is. You know how it is. We'd be like, why are you here? It don't take much. Oh, the WWE fans, we don't got a lot of tolerance. We're crazy. So we'll see. And we're going to get into that in just a minute because I definitely think there's a lot to talk about as we get to Raw. And then, last but not least on this one, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson recently promised hosts on the Morning Shift podcast that he'd hook them up with tickets for his eventual WWE ring return. So there is some conversation that he may be having that match against Roman that we were denied. But Fast Forever, known as Fast 11, for many of us that have been watching that entire series for the majority of our lives, they start filming in December. So how will he possibly participate in an April match? So there's kind of like...
Wait, is he going to be in Fast 11? Because he sure was not in Fast 10.
Yes.
I saw him in Tyrese.
I believe
Did they make up?
Yes, they did. They did, in fact, make up. And yes, I don't know how I had my ear to the ground for that one, but I did. And I heard about it. I heard about it because I love, you know me, I love me a Fast and Furious. So
I think they should have wrapped it up in season 10.
You think everybody should wrap everything up? You said no more dinosaurs, no more anything. But
yeah, like how many?
Right. As many as possible.
They can keep it. Wait, hold on. Wait, time out. Hold on. Time out. Fun fact, just because you said dinosaurs, I read somewhere that they are thinking about trying to recreate dinosaurs. And in the comments, they was like, we've seen what happened. That is not a good idea. And I was like, exactly. How many Jurassic Park movies do we need to know that dinosaurs and us are not good ideas?
Well, you could argue the same thing about all the movies on AI and robotics. And has that shifted or changed anything?
I mean, I've seen iRobot. That's why I'm not going to have a robot in my house.
Okay, but you might have one out in the streets.
Those things are crazy.
Yeah, iRobot was in the streets, but I remember Terminator. So I'm trying to tell you, it didn't even seem to matter. It seemed to matter. I said, we already seen this movie and we didn't live. So here we are. We don't care, apparently. There's always that opportunity to go to space and mess up another planet. I don't know. Anyhow, the point is, let's get back to wrestling.
Yes, I'm sorry. That was a reminder, and I was like, oh, I need to share. Anyway, go ahead.
I did not know. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. Anyway, I'm gonna find the story. All right, I would say WWE forgets about storylines in 30 days. Candace, you are not wrong. But they are involved in the Bloodline storyline, so they'll be around at least until War Games. Now, this is a good conversation to have because at the end of the day, we're not going to have the same kind of War Games that we had last time. We had like the Bloodline War Games, right? You don't got all the players. Zilla just got to NXT, so odds of them pulling him up that right now is unlikely. He still needs to learn the WWE style. Though, I mean, doing it with his cousins might be a good way to do it. Who knows? Solo seemed to have fit in quite nicely over there. But I do feel like if we're building for War Games, that might make some sense. Because who's to say Roman's going to be in that match? And you need bodies. You need bodies. What I would like is for War Games to be multiple faction wars, the way it used to be in WCW, where it was multiple factions who were in the War Games of it all. It wasn't just one faction versus one faction. It was multiple factions. And maybe that's what they're doing. Like, we were talking junk about not another faction, but could that be it? Because I could say, you know, can we get a mixed faction? Can we put Judgment Day in there against like a bunch of characters?
But see,
Just saying.
what I would rather too, I really liked it when they had Raw versus SmackDown and then NXT. That was good. That was a good war game.
It was,
And
but that
then
was
Raw versus
Survivor
SmackDown.
Series.
I feel
I
like
think
at
that was
that
Survivor
time
Series.
was that Survivor Series, but that's when they put war game in Survivor Series.
Hmm. They did. So I don't know. I mean, I don't hate that idea. As long as these factions make sense somewhere, I'm fine with it.
Hmm.
They just need to make sense. Because right now we got faction and a new faction and additional faction and another faction, and I'm like, y'all not fighting. Why we got factions that don't fight? But OTM and voice keys, I don't think we got a name. We'll see if they show up this Monday. They like to go weeks without a name. So we will see how that goes. And with that, that wraps our Streets Are Talking segment, which means it's time to get into Monday Night Raw, y'all. Because, listen, Monday was a vibe.
I'm very
Just,
hot right now.
I'm going to follow Adam this week, and everything's going to be a vibe.
Ugh, no, not a vibe.
If you know, you know. So I feel like we got some great matches on Raw. I definitely love the Luchador focus. I really enjoyed that. Ray Phoenix was phenomenal against Dragon Lee. They're two of my favorites. So I feel like, we're setting the stage for him and his brother to fight it out for who gets Roman in Mexico City. So how do we feel about that?
I feel like it's pretty awesome to see them give a shout out to AAA like they are with the Luchadors. I feel like it's about time. Um, and I think that their style is definitely worth watching. So I'm
Okay.
interested to see how this transpires, brother against brother, and how Roman fares uh, with that style, because as we know, it's not quite that versatile. So we'll see how it goes.
This is my fault, y'all. I did tell her. I said, Roman got like 4 moves. So how is this gonna work? This is gonna work. I support my tribal chief, and I know who he is. And I'm not sure how this is gonna go with the luchadors. Like, I am a little concerned because they are very versatile. They're also very air focused. They're very fast. We know that Roman likes to keep his matches very slow and very methodical and very focused in storytelling. And this is not a story, right? Like, this is just someone versus someone else for the title. However, like I said, I thought that match was so good. I loved the one with Penta. I loved, you know, the Dragon Lee, just all his matches. Parka, I'm sorry, it was Penta versus La Parka, which again was a great like reminiscence of like growing up because we grew up with La Parka. Right? I said, which iteration is this? Because we should be the same age.
The third.
Just thank
The
you,
third
thank
one.
you for clarifying. I said he should probably be dad's age. Like I don't know how we ended up here, but I'm excited. I'm excited. It was so good to see that. To me, it felt like they really focused more, so the quality of the wrestling was much better this Monday, and I think a lot of that I can attribute to AAA. What you think?
I would agree with that. And I love that they are transcending both, and they're kind of like including both into Raw, and you're able to see that because a lot of us don't tune into AAA, right? But I feel like we will going forward based off of what we're seeing now. So
I do. I do. I have made that a point of my focus of my weekend. I don't know how I fit that in last week with the 400 other things that we had to do, which is why our clips haven't gone viral yet. But I'm coming. I'm coming. But at the end of the day, the AAA storylines are very well developed. It's a lot of action. The pedal de malls, like that is such a good story. So I'm really excited to see the crossover. And of course, like this weekend's event, right? So we're gonna have a blast this weekend catching up on AAA. But I feel like it grounded WWE in a way that we don't normally. And like I mentioned, it's one of the reasons I really enjoy AEW is just the match quality is incredible. And I feel like AAA brings that to the table in a way that other shows do not. All right. Who do we think is going to win that match between Penta and Ray Phoenix?
Penta.
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna say Ray.
It'll be Ray Phoenix. I think it'll be Penta. I think we've been building for Penta versus Roman for a little bit. So I think it'll be Penta. And I am like, is he gonna put Roman in that Mexican destroyer? How's that gonna work? I am concerned. I have concerns. So many. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens here. Or at least I'm praying to be excited. That's where we're at. All right, so let's talk Stephanie Paquette and her match versus Roxanne Perez and this whole Judgment Day shenanigans. Thanks, Candace. Shout out to Penta. I said it. So how did y'all feel about this Stephanie match with Roxanne? And then, Becky comes out as well. Okay, there you go.
We know Becky. Oh, sorry. I mean, we know that Becky's only doing this for her gain, so it's not like Becky's tagging or like coming to the aid on purpose. It's not like she's just coming as a dear old friend. She's coming because she has a.
They ain't friends.
Yeah, they ain't friends. Like, I'm coming because I want something, and if that means I gotta go through you to get it, then fine. I'll make sure you stay alive so I can come.
Not stay alive. Not stay alive. Crazy.
What? I'm just saying. What?
I was like, is she? Because here's my thing. Becky could just let the shenanigans unfold. So it feels like there has to be more motivation there than just getting a title shot, because that's obviously going to happen, right? So it's just a matter of why is she helping Stephanie? And we know Stephanie, like, I don't need you. And I was like, she's not wrong. Stephanie is she out there. She beat Liv down last time. Like, oof. And she recovered a lot of it herself until, the last minute over there before Becky comes out. So I feel like she has a point there. Does she really need Becky, or is Becky just pushing herself back into the story to be right back into that title picture? And then why? Why is she doing that? Because she was, do we need her at the top? Because I feel like with Stephanie back, we don't. But we definitely need someone to help with the mid-card titles. So bad. Desperately. But I felt like she did that work last year. So I'm going to say again, this is a booking problem, not necessarily a superstar problem. But I don't love that Becky's in the story because I just don't get why she's there. That's my thoughts. I don't get why she's there because, in my opinion, why would she be?
Do you feel like there could be some storyline brewing where it's Stephanie and Becky versus Judgment Day?
That always happens, unfortunately. I do feel like can they survive is going to be like the theme there, because obviously they don't get along. But what's the long-term thought about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about this, what's the long-term advantage of that particular piece? Is it like, we know what's coming up? Money in the Bank is coming up. So it's like, what's the long-term plan with that? And why would we do that? Because when you think about, again, the other mid-card titles, not much going on. We don't get a lot of title defenses. So I really feel like they need to ground it in some storytelling. And I don't think that this story is going to translate over as well as they think it will. So I'm a little lackluster about this particular program. But I love me some Stephanie. And the one thing I did say during our panel is the writers will write for Stephanie and Becky. So long as they're in the mix somewhere, we will see more women wrestling. But I would challenge that perspective because I definitely think Roxanne held her own. She's a fantastic talent, and they haven't really taken advantage of that. And then when you think about Raquel, like, there's other stories, like we already said this. The story wrote itself a long time ago. Becky or we could, to be fair, potentially we could be going Stephanie and Becky for the title and then live within the Judgment Day disillusion, which just finally it'll go boom and we'll be excited about that. Maybe that's where they're headed. But why we only got 2 storylines? That's my thought there.
Don't know.
That's it. That's all. That's where it don't make sense to me. All right. Obafemi and Braun Breaker. How did y'all feel about that contract signing?
I mean, I felt like with Paul Heyman there, it's definitely gearing up that they're going to fight for custody of Paul, which we're already seen. But the whole thing is, Oba doesn't need Paul. So are we really fighting for custody, or is this the stepchild begging for attention? Because I'm not quite sure. Now, granted, Oba's read on Braun was hilarious. Okay, he called him orange, and I've definitely said multiple times him was on the orange
Burnt
train.
sienna.
I'm not sure why.
His color was burnt sienna.
Orange.
He got a lot of different,
why?
different tones.
I don't know why you need to be that color. But anyway, I felt like it's just so much. It's just so much that I just don't want to repeat a story. And I feel like that's what's happening with Paul, just popping himself in there. And it's like, and then also it goes with the fact that Paul will go, who is the biggest, like he's riding someone's coattail. And I feel like Paul Heyman don't need to ride nobody's coattail because Paul Heyman's Paul Heyman.
All right. I definitely see that. I mean, I can see why you think it's the same story. I think it's a little different because they're really fighting to be known as the future of the division. Do I think that's necessarily the strongest story they could have come up with? Probably not. I think that Oba really is going heads and tails above Braun, unfortunately. He's really differentiating himself as the future with just his promo skills and his physicality. I think it puts Braun, unfortunately, a disadvantage in this piece. And it further highlights why Paul Heyman would be interested in Oba. I do think maybe they're getting ready to pair Paul Heyman with Oba. But I also agree with you. Like, I don't know that he needs it, but why not? You know what I mean? Like, why not do that? But then where does that leave Braun? That's what concerns me. Where does that leave Braun? Because he is also very talented, very capable. Where does that leave him?
But I also feel like them pairing Paul with Oba, you're pretty much trying to say Oba can't do this on his own, and Oba can definitely do it on his own. So that's why I don't want them to pair him yet. Let him get a couple of things he wants to add Paul, then Paul is an added force to him versus adding him on there and now he gets something and now it's like, oh, you got it because Paul was there. And that's not the truth because Oba is his own force by himself.
True. I do agree with that. He is absolutely his own force and he's a standout. So I don't know. I'm trying to like lean into the storyline a little bit more and try to see if I could see more good in it. Because I just think right now it's not. I enjoyed the face off. I enjoyed the way that Oba came across. Again, I think it left Braun at a bit of a disadvantage because Oba is quite talented on the microphone. And you could even see it on Paul's face, right? Like Paul was grinning while Oba was talking. And he was proud of Braun too. So it's not to say like I didn't see that too. He also was smiling at Braun. But I thought that Oba, again, it just showed that he was heads and tails ahead. So I'm a little concerned more for Braun in this program than Oba. But since they wanted to keep him away from Roman a little longer, I'm guessing this is why we're going here. But like, what's the payoff is my question. Does Oba and Paul Heyman, like, is that in game? Is that going to move the needle any? Because I feel like Braun needs a Paul Heyman, whereas Oba does not. So I don't know. I think that at the beginning, he might having Paul would have made sense for Oba, but he really has like even his humor, his sense of humor, his like charisma. It just I don't think it makes sense, and that's my problem. That's my problem. It just doesn't fit. So I don't get the long term storytelling piece. I'm hoping that it leads to something better than this, and that we're excited about it. But I can't say that I think it is. It could be in
Our
the.
sister
Oh,
said
never mind. Go
it
ahead.
could be up.
It could end up.
Oh, sorry. Maybe it can end up being a stab at the tribal chief because of Paul. What do you mean?
Maybe. But do you mean that he's going to like when Oba goes against Roman? Eventually, you think that Paul Heyman might cost Roman the title? I wonder if that's what you thought about. Yep.
Yes.
Maybe, but I also don't think that makes sense for Oba. Oba can win on his own. And I almost feel like Roman's been teetering more on the heel side lately. So, do we want that for Oba? Do we want to turn Oba more heel? Or does he really live? I would keep him a babyface. I think he lives and he's going to do well there in that space. And we have plenty of heels on Monday Night Raw, okay? Because we're about to talk about Big Cass right now.
But to be fair, I feel like Oba is not just a baby face. I feel like he is a heel. I feel like he's done both. Like I think he's just like Roman and Seth. You know what I'm saying? Because they're both like a baby face kind of, and they're really more like a heel. But you know, it depends on the day you get it. He's versatile that way. Yes, Kevin.
I mean, he is, but in the story, there has to be one or the other, right? I think with Roman and Seth, we were okay with it being like ambiguous because they have that history where they both have flipped back and forth. And so you just have your favorite. But when you look at Oba and when you look at Roman and where that might go, they would need to define where they go. Like someone would need to play the role of heel and someone would need to play the role of face for that particular feud because it's a new feud. It's not something like we don't have a whole history to build there. And Roman has been teetering there. So I don't know. I just need more vision for where I think this could be. But I'm open to it. I'm not opposed to it. And I'm excited to see those two collide. All right. So speaking of Big Cass, Javon, he had a streak this week. He was very angry. And the referee was very lax on the entire match programming. Like, I was like, shouldn't they have been counted out 7 times by now? Like, I feel like they was outside the ring forever. So I'm a little bit. What do you think about their face-off this week? What do you think about Javon's new edge? He's definitely, like I said, angrier, more volatile than he typically is.
I mean, I think he needed to because everyone was taking him lightly. And he's like, nah, that's not, nah. Y'all just can't keep pushing me around thinking that that's cool and that's whatever. No. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that he was standing up for himself in a different way. I am not going to hold you. I'm not quite sure why Big Cass is back. But I do appreciate the commentary between only just Michael Cole because Corey won't say nothing.
Can I tell you, that was the one thing I pointed out.
But
he don't say nothing. He'd be like, yeah, he's horrible. That's like the extent of the commentary that Corey will give for obvious reasons. But like, I just feel like I don't know either. Like we talked about, if he was coming back with Enzo, I would have been really excited. Now I'm just like, why are you here?
I mean, I thought he was coming back with Enzo because I'm like, that's so for me, even them having him be I'm just gonna start beating people up because I'm just this big man, and you're just like, but you're beating up small people. You're not even beating up big people. I don't see you sitting here trying to attack Oba. I don't even see you trying to. I also don't even see you trying to attack Braun. You're attacking smaller people, which is crazy. He was. He definitely was. He was. I mean, when I say that, I mean, yes, he was definitely Team Javon. He was hyping him up. But the moment that Michael even was telling us the history of Big Cass, he was like, he was like, I got nothing to say. I ain't gonna say nothing because I got
He's just
words.
like, I'm sitting
I
here
got
drinking my
feelings.
water. He's like, I'm over here
Mhm.
drinking my water and minding my business. I get it, but I also don't, if that makes sense. Like,
Hmm.
where are we going with this? And okay, why has WWE really embraced everyone's beating up people in the back behind their heads? Like, we're doing that with Blake Monroe, we're doing that with Big Cass. Like, we gonna keep. I mean, like, we need a little bit more originality here. I feel like.
Don't. I mean, don't get me
I need
started
more
because I'm
originality.
I'm not quite sure what they're doing with Blake and why she even was brought up or anything. Because I'm like, if you didn't have a true story for line for her, she could have just stayed in NXT and we could have figured something else out.
True, I agree with that.
But I
Why bring
also
her
was
up to stage?
expecting for her first match, I was expecting somebody else to come out and to come attack her, and no one did, and I was kind of disappointed.
I was more disappointed that it wasn't actually a match. And I'm very disappointed in their booking for Julia because Julia was a badass, basically, before. And now it feels like they have watered her down to the degree that she is not as, she doesn't carry that same aura she had before. And I don't like it because to me, I really enjoyed who she was before. I enjoyed her hard hitting style. I enjoyed getting to see that marry with WWE style in NXT. And then you bring her to the main roster and you sanitize her. Why would you do that? It's like you take everything that's special about them and throw it away. And she just becomes one of the people in the back eating catering 98% of the time. And then here we are getting beat up for Blake for that 3 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minute situation. And then we had a whole long conversation. Don't get me started. I could go on SmackDown forever. Y'all spend too much time talking in the ring. And now I'm starting to feel like you that they need to fight more. Need to fight more. We got commercials and talking and the occasional fight. So, yeah. I mean, I liked Javon in this new like gear he put in because I think you're right. I think
Mhm.
we see him and we love him and we get excited by him, but he also needs to. I think Big Cass is this feud is bringing that out of him. Like I will whoop you down. Like, and I appreciate that a little bit more than I'm just happy to be here. So, touche about that. All right. Now we're going to talk about this OTM invasion. Can I say, just like I wanted to get rid of that hoodie situation and the black mask with Seth, I also want to throw out every single black handkerchief in the world because under no circumstances did that hide anything. So why did you put it on? Why wear it? Why put it over your nose and your mouth? And you were clearly Royce Keys. So I don't get it. Was that supposed to be a disguise? He could have left that at home. Now OTM, we didn't know who they were. If you weren't watching, you might not know who they were from NXT. Or if you weren't watching AAA, you might not know who that is. But you gonna put a black handkerchief over your nose and your mouth, and I'm supposed to not identify that being Royce Keys? I mean, I don't think we that dumb. In that case, maybe he should have had a hoodie over his face. Like, I don't know. That might have made more sense. But, I think they know at this point that we have already exhausted the hoodie situation with Roman and then, Seth later. Seth later with the bloodline, not Roman per se. Kevin, I do think it might have been just for uniformity. They were already wearing black. Okay, I'm gonna put you back in here. They were already wearing black. So, ma'am, what more uniform did you need? Do you feel like?
I get it. I thought it just made sense that they all came out wearing the same thing. I think that was supposed to essentially help to solidify them as a faction, if that makes sense, because that's what's coming. So if they come out all uniform, all doing the same thing, coming out, we don't know who OTM is if you're not watching NXT, right? So obviously we know it's Royce Keys, but it kind of made them seem like a group. Like this is going to be a thing we're going to see going forward.
Okay. I hear you. But beyond that, I felt for everybody in that match who got beat down. I mean, LA Knight can't win for nothing. He just out here. He just can't win for nothing. I was like, who do you make mad in the back, LA Knight? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we talk about it? I mean, what did you do? And do you need to write a letter of apology? Like, what do you need to do?
Not a letter of apology.
I just need you to like not be the person on the other end of getting beat down for just a few weeks. Like, please, I need you to transcend from someone who's constantly getting beat down by other characters to the top of something, anything at this point, mid card even. Like, pick one. Can he win Money in the Bank? Can someone help? I'm sorry. I just am over him always being on the bottom. And it feels like with the addition of OTM in this storyline, that's exactly what's going to happen. Like, I feel like it delegates him back a bit to the background, which is like, here we go again.
So can I ask the question as to why they attacked everyone? What was the point in attacking Solo and LA Knight if they had just partnered together?
They don't like nobody?
Because, but also remember, they only partnered together to try to go against, like, truly, Royce Keys, his problem was only with the fact that with Jacob, was the fact that Jacob was choosing to be a yes man and not be the best friend. Dude, like, what are you doing? Like, I know you. We were in the trenches. Where were they? And you sitting here being a yes man for some what? I think that was why he joined that. It wasn't because he despised the bloodline. It was more so, you my friend. I need to smack some sense in you because I'm trying to understand why you over there.
Right.
And then that's it. I don't think Royce was, because I think even with Solo, I think at one point wasn't Solo trying to get in, he was like, like he was like, and then so I think now he realized that Solo can't trust you because technically you went back to the bloodline.
Right.
LA Knight, you have an unhealthy addiction to the bloodline. And he's like, we're not going to get the job done now. We did it, but it was by the skin of our teeth because if it wasn't for Solo to spike, then yeah. And
no, I do think Candace has a point here, right? Because no one had Royce's back in that match against Jacob. But okay, let's take a moment to think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty well matched up until I think when the Usos came out, right? Like, I feel like either one of the Usos came out. If I'm not mistaken, it might have been Jimmy. I can't quite remember right now. So I feel like maybe so he had to go get his crew to make sure he could have a match against Jacob. But let's think about this. So now we got 3-on-3-on-3 again, right? So we got Jacob and the Usos. Again, a lot of points of contention with the Fa La Las and all the things. And then we got Royce and OTM. And then we got Solo and LA Knight. So do they go get a third person, or do you think they just step out of this feud? Because I don't see how they can, because Solo still has yet to fall in line yet. So it's kind of like, where is this going? And again, where is this going? Who could Solo get to partner with? Because remember, he went to ask everybody, and they was like, just kidding. No one likes you. Like, Tama Tonga and Tala Tonga now are focused with Haku. So, like, now they need a third person. And are we entering trios their territory with WWE? Because God, no. Y'all don't need another set of belts nowhere. Nope. No more belts for y'all. Please. because you need to defend the ones you have. But like in this point, who do they get? Because they got to get somebody. Because
But
technically
maybe
their
it's where
conversation
Zilla
not
comes
us.
in.
You think Zilla? Now, so this
I
is
mean,
where
and I'm not saying I'm saying Zilla, but I'm also saying like not for him to fully come over, like he still be in NXT, but he comes in because they need a third person. Because remember with Solo was in NXT for what? I don't even know how long he was in NXT before they brought him
he was
as a
in there for a
person,
little
and that was,
while.
but
It wasn't
but
it wasn't like a super long time, but he was there
mhm.
for a little while. My problem with Zilla is that seeing what I'm seeing on NXT, I think he needs time. He needs time in NXT to learn the WWE style. He needs time to refine some of his to polish some of his stuff in a sense of like how his presentation, his entrance. I think he needs time to start to polish that. So I'm like, I don't think bringing him up is a good idea because you know what they tend to do. They'll bring you up and keep you here. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that would hurt him in the long run. Do I think someone like Cruz Montana, because I was about to say his name, Mike Montana. Cruz Montana, is that it?
Yep.
God, I'm trying. It's just anyway.
Mhm.
I feel like he might be able to walk that line better than most because we've seen him walk that line better than most, and he knows who he is as a superstar. So that might be a good fit if you need a third person. But I'm having a hard time thinking who else we could put in that space.
No.
I'm like, but I definitely don't think it's a Beatzilla. He just got here. He's too new. It won't make sense. Now, if they hadn't let go of all these people, we'd have space.
Seth, because I mean Seth did disappear after, so it could be Seth.
Seth is not about to help LA Knight is Solo. He ain't doing it. I mean, Seth is an opportunist at best. And he's like, what I got to do with this? This ain't got nothing to do with me. Is there a title in here for me? No. Now, could I see him getting involved? I mean, I could see him getting involved in Oba and Braun if there was a title involved, but there's not. So I just can't see Seth getting in here.
I mean, right now, the other people that would be involved, because they have their own storylines. Cody's sitting here fighting with Randy and Sammy. And Sammy's fighting with
show.
Everybody. On the other show. When has that ever? What am I saying? When has that ever stopped anybody from one show to another? They were all. What did that stop?
Never anybody? Did. Never did. Never does.
And then and then I'm also going like Sammy because Sammy could kind of like get in there, but right now Sammy got his own feud with Cody, then with Randy, then with Kevin, then with CM Punk. Like this is a lot going on, you know. Then there's still Finn Balor in there, you know.
I forgot. Okay, touche. I don't know. I got no answer for you for who could fit in this story. I just know it can't be Zilla. Leave him where he at. He needs time to grow and change and refine. Like Solo did do that, but he also grew up under the Bloodline Shield area. Like they all worked together. They traveled together. There was like a sense of probably mentorship for him. But he did spend some time at NXT, and Zilla needs that. Like he needs to ground himself. So I'm just a little bit like, I need some clarity here. Yeah. Now I'm not asking for you to give me the whole storyline, but I like, y'all don't use half the people on that roster. So like, what we doing? Who else? Who else could step in here and would be a good fit in the storyline? And are we looking towards that 3x3x3? Like, because AEW love that. And when I tell you them trios matches are fire, they, you know. All right, we're going to skip Saturday night, but we are going to talk about NXT. How did you feel about that steel cage match with Saquon, Sugars, and Deion Lennox to kick off the show on NXT?
Why?
I mean, I definitely was saying why too. I was like, I'm not sure why we're still having this feud. What are you guys fighting for? Because I thought even the other one is not in that dark side anymore. I thought nobody's. Like, so I'm not sure. Are y'all got beefs? Is on site anytime I see you, and that's why we're fighting.
Yes,
because those things do happen.
Yes. Also, there was a promo, so you might not have been a party to this one. There was, in fact, a promo in which they basically went back and forth last week and saying, like, I'm putting this to bed. So that's supposed to be like the final nail in this feud. Okay. So it's like, you know, but I just want to say, in NXT, should we be doing steel cage matches with both of these people yet? Was no one concerned? I was concerned. Now, Saquon was incredible. He was on top of that cage. He was doing all the things. Was I still a little nervous? Terrified even? Yes. Because I could see some of that inexperience come through with Dion and with Saquon to a degree. So I was just like, did y'all need to have a steel cage match, or could we have just done a street fight again? Like, I don't know. I know they were trying to up the ante. I thought they did a good job. I wish it wouldn't have started the show. I think it set the tone off. Yeah, I was like, it should have been either in the middle or towards the end. I think it was a weird way to start the show. Like, normally you kick off the show with a bang, but I was like, and I would argue the way the show ended with that summit of everybody was ending for the most part with a bang, but I felt like that could have maybe been right before it instead of, I felt like it would have built to the end versus like, here we are. And, or more importantly, could we not have had that match during Heatwave? It's a steel cage match. So, I don't know. It was good. I will say that I thought they did a good job, but it didn't move the needle to me for the most part. But that's where I was at. So, Tony D'Angelo. Shout out to him for his promos, okay? Because that man is doing the work. He got thoughts and feelings, and he ain't afraid to share none of them. And I thought he felt committed. Like, he's one of those people that I think is ready to move up. Now, I don't want him going nowhere because he ain't got no storyline for 75 people, but I feel like he's ready. Like, I think they kept him there to make sure he was ready, but now I feel like he's there. He's where he needs to be. And we are running out of space on that roster too, which is also why I feel like we're moving people through a little faster. But I thought his promo was exceptional. I was excited, and I still am excited for that championship match. Any thoughts on you guys about this one?
I think he's doing a phenomenal job as a title holder. I feel like he's definitely somebody to beat. And I'm interested, and I'm looking forward to seeing. Sorry, I'm interested in looking forward to seeing that match. But I'm kind of tired of Wilder. Not to be talking about him right now, but I'm a little tired of him.
Tired of him. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, I think for my intro to Wilder was on the main roster. And of course, I was like, who are you? What is this? What are you talking about? Why are you here? And then, of course, to see him, like, I really thought him and Austin Theory, they made a really good tag team. It made sense. You had two conceited people next to each other, but they balanced each other out.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Austin was like, I'm from the hood while you over there from Australia. Like, that's what I'm saying? So they balanced each other out. I mean, he'd be acting like he's from the hood. I mean,
the mean streets of Kennesaw? Like, I'm sorry.
Wait, I mean, I'm talking about Austin. Austin, isn't he from Atlanta? Anyway, Atlanta has so many.
Like I said, the mean streets of Kennesaw. Like, where?
Yeah, or maybe he was in the West End for all we know. I don't know.
Not in the West Side. Listen here. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm from Atlanta, so like, from the mean streets of Marietta. Sir, I don't know where actually he came from, but that's what it's giving.
He was in Sandy Springs. He's from the North Side. He's where all the fine dining is.
For the mean streets of Cumming, Georgia. Like, come on now. That's where half the money is. I'm just saying.
He was on the nice side of Marta. Anyway.
Not Marta.
He was on the nice side. The nice side, the one that ends all the way at the top.
You have North Springs. Anyway, the point was.
There you go. Mm-hmm. But
Thank
wait,
you,
hold on, because
Paul.
I was trying.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Continue.
So I will sit here and say, with him coming back, he has more of an edge to him. Now, this could be the frustration of y'all broke me and Austin up, put him back with the vision, and then y'all sent me with people who kind of were like, we don't know if we want to mess with you or not. Because being Xavier had
Kofi
their
was like,
own
I'm
little
not. Yes, Xavier was like, I'm not sold. Kofi was like, you're not really part of this group. Like, it was crazy.
like, you're really not New Day, but okay. I mean, I think he kind of solidified when he did the
Adjacent.
funeral, and then they did the funeral, and he kind of was like, hey, and you're like,
What are you
okay.
doing here?
But
Yes.
but I do appreciate the edge that he has to him. But decided to interrupt the girls. I was really hoping one of the girls would like sock them in his mouth. They didn't. And I was like, why? Why didn't y'all just? Because we had enough heavy hitters in the ring that could take him.
He deserved to get socked in the mouth because they was having a deep conversation, and I did not and will not ever appreciate them getting interrupted by Grayson Waller. Now, I will say I do enjoy Grayson Waller. He definitely gives a much needed spicy component to NXT, right? And I do think, while I'm sad to see him down there again, because I do think, again, he's done a lot of things there. And I think he translates very well to the main roster if they would book him properly. Because I would argue, shouldn't he be fighting Austin Theory right now? Because they never did finish that breakup. We just pretending they just left each other, because he had all the words. He had all the thoughts and feelings for Austin Theory when Austin Theory was at home. So I'm like, if you looking for that next feud for him, that was a good opportunity. And then we could have added a little Maxine in there. We could have added another female in there. Like maybe Lyra's a little less crazy right now, and we can stop having her look like a crackhead.
She's still crazy. I don't.
Maybe she's finally taking her psychotic medication and she's okay. Like, I don't know. What I do know, however, is that Grayson could translate over very well. He's also one of those people I feel like who can go back and forth. And he's been calling out CM Punk. Like, he's been everywhere in all the fields. So, listen. Like, I'm excited about this championship match this weekend. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm thrilled to know like that's coming because I'm excited because they always put on a great show. But it did annoy me. Like, don't interrupt the girls. Especially when Zarya and Callie had that match. Like, that was fire. And Kalani and her promo and Kendall and Ren QCC and period, like Ren Sinclair. I'm feeling all these females in this. Like, that's how you book it properly. They each have their own distinctive personalities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We can tell that, and you can mix them back and forth through stories. Something that's always missing on the main roster. Unless you come here with a name from being here from like 20 years ago, and now you're back. Like, other than that, they don't build it into a solid character that you can put in places. So I'm like, that annoyed me because I just thought they did an excellent job packing that towards it. Kalani's promo, even though she really wasn't out there, was good. Like, she's like, I'm trying to tell you who I am. And Kendall's response was even better. Like, whatever, but you ain't to stand out no more because I am. So I feel like I never want him to interrupt, but I do appreciate him in the story. That makes sense. But also that summit, listen.
Santana
I want to say that felt like yes. That felt like a little overkill at the end. Like, we're gonna have a summit with everybody get together and talk about their feelings, and then we're gonna have a massive brawl at the end of the. Like, if you wanted to do that, y'all could have did that before and ended on a steel cage match. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like y'all could have gave me something to that steel cage match that told me where this feud was going next, or Saquon and somebody beat him up because. Where he going next, we all know. He's just in the back with half his shirt off. That thing is hilarious every time. I ain't never seen nobody give a promo with their shirt sitting here. They neck. Like, yeah. Sir, order off, as I tell my kids. No need to let it just sit on here like you wearing a sari, like you got a sash going through. Like, I don't understand. That was crazy. I just didn't get it. But I will tell you something that did resonate for me. I know I've been talking junk about Stone, but he managed to wrangle the crazy. I feel like he has been standing on his own. So I wanted to give him his kudos for all the time I was talking junk that. I was like, why are you general manager? I feel like he's definitely coming to his own. I really want to acknowledge that. I don't do it all the time. Where's that? But beyond that, I mean, NXT is one of those best shows of the week always. And that's just, it's unfortunate, really. It's unfortunate that the quote-unquote developmental brand is on fire 98% of the time. All right. I'm going to give you a quick recap of Dynamite because I only watched so much of it this week. But let me tell you, Will Ospreay had all the smoke for Kenny Omega. And Kenny apparently is flipping back and forth between heel and babyface because why he talking about Will's family now? Like, I was like, what's happening? What has happened? Have you switched over? I am confusion. I don't know what's happening here. A part of me is just sitting here with the sense of, what? That's right. I'm just confused. And I feel like that's where I end up in all the pieces of where we are. But I will tell you, if you did not watch that match between Jon Moxley and, I'm going to say his name wrong, Claudio Castagnoli, you should, because that's what I mean about AEW's like focus on excellent wrestling matches. There was still some grandpa extra stuff this week, Tanisha. We did get to see Edge, and I got something for you on that. Before I keep going, I will say that match with John and Claudio was a reminder of how good they were, even in WWE, and it translated over so well. They're still in the same faction. John is still the leader of the faction, but Claudio really stepped up to the plate. So I really feel like it was a phenomenal match, and one of the reasons I really enjoy AEW's Dynamite. Now, let's talk about Grandpa Edge, also known as Grandpa Copeland. Let's talk about this. So they had a match. Mm-hmm. It was a trios match with Cope and the Young Bucks versus, I want to say I know Mark Davis was in it. I don't know if I was paying attention to nobody else. Thank you, Candace. It was an excellent match. I don't know if I was paying attention to the other people in that match because I was too focused on where is Cage. And that was answered at the end, in which Cage comes out at the end of the match, which, I want to know, Candace, we'll get to you in just 1 second. I want to know whether he didn't come out. Like, the one thing I appreciate about Cage is he's very consistent with his character. He's like, I ain't asked to be here. I don't care. I'm not coming to help you. And that was his energy. He came down to the ring in his turtleneck in the summer, even though they was in Scotland. He comes down to the ring, and he basically is like, yeah, I don't like none of y'all, which is inevitably hilarious. The Young Bucks and shenanigans ensue. We get fisticuffs. Edge ends up having to jump in because his friend talked too much. And now we set the stage for Wembley, right? I'm going to get to my speed round picks, but I will also tell you that was also a very interesting development. And I think, again, in that, AEW is doing a good job with their storytelling as we're going into Wembley. Lastly, the other thing I'm going to bring up is Miss Mercedes and what she did to Willow. Willow's apparently actually battling a broken hand, but she attacked her in the back. I don't know if that was a skateboard. I'm not sure what she threw in her hand. I don't know. But either way, she attacked her. It was like, I can't wait to take your title. Consistency. I appreciate that we saw Mercedes be Mercedes. She ain't had to do nothing else. She had to be nobody else. This is who she is. That's what she's bringing. And even her previous matches with Maya, like there was one, like I think about, she aligned herself with Divine Dominion. Like they are telling excellent stories with Mercedes. Why only her? I don't know. But they're doing excellent stories with Mercedes. All right, now Candace, did we get a life lesson from Death Riders this week? I want to know. What do you think is the life lesson from Death Riders, Candace? Because I got some lessons. I got some lessons that I learned about Mox. Like, you ain't gonna beat the leader, because that's what it felt like. Like, I'm gonna remind you why I'm this leader. And he did some crazy defensive maneuvers that just like Casanoli was about to hit him with his like right hand, and he just fell down on the ground, and I was like, what's happening? Like, we both shook our head. Him looking at Moxley and me looking at the TV. Like, what's happening? How did we end up here? I was just like, Moxley, what's going on? So you tell me what the lesson I should have took away from that is. Anyhow, hi Faith, welcome. I don't know what the lesson was for me that way this week. But we know that Nigel McGuinness is going against John in the Continental Challenge Cup Finals. So, I mean, I feel like we're headed towards all sorts of greatness this weekend. Even though, respectfully, it's gonna be a long Sunday. Okay, I didn't see the entire, but I love their backstage segments when they drop some life lessons, which is funny because they are the Death Riders. Yes, I love Moxley's like pep talks, and I really did appreciate his story with Will Ospreay, because I really felt like the way that he motivated him was very villainish, but still honestly true. Like, you can't trust people. Doesn't matter if they're your friends. If he had learned that lesson from Moxley, we wouldn't be where we at right now with Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he has a point there. Now, do I think that that's building to something again? A little bit. But I didn't see the whole episode either. I'm sorry, Candace. Like, Kiara had to take a nap at some point. Okay, sorry. And with that, we talked about a lot of wrestling. I would talk about SmackDown, but it's on right now, so y'all just gonna have to wait till we cover that next week. But you know we are getting into? I want to guess.
You want to do 3 rounds?
That's right. Let's get it.
Ding ding goes a bell, it's the speed round thrill. Who's gonna rise, who's taking the spill? We're calling the shots, no time to chill. This is the moment to flex their skill. Who's got the bell? Who's hitting the mat? Who's taking the yell? Who's got the comeback? Back. Main event mamas, we're spitting predictions. Fast like a jab, no need for revisions. Pick 'em quick, call a move, lay the mission. Main event mamas, it's a wrestling tradition. Chokehold tight or a suplex flight. Cage match chaos or a ladder fight. Tag team dreams or a solo mic. We're throwing the dice on the spotlight. Main event mamas, we're spitting predictions. Fast like a jab, no need for revisions. Pick 'em quick, call a move, lay the mission. Main event mamas, it's a wrestling tradition.
I know, fire song every time. I know, right, Faith? Every time. We all be in the back dancing. One of these days, I'm gonna just pop on the camera and see.
You would have shown me twerking. I don't know if that was appropriate.
I knew there was something going on in the back. I could see all the little.
Oh, you can see me. That's right. You can't see me.
That's right. Faith said, "I know what it is. Twerk session, girl. You not wrong."
Definitely was.
Moment. Anyway, you know the deal. We're going to wrap up our wrestling segments with the speed round because, like I said, it's going to be, I'm so excited. I'm about to be high on life this weekend. We got AEW, we got Triple I, we got.
Nah, it's not Triple I. Triple I.
That is literally. Never mind. Never mind. Keep it up, and I'm going to make you read the things.
Go ahead. We know how that's fair for everybody when I did it. So sure, let's do it.
We're not doing that. That took too long in editing. Love you though. Anyway, so you know what time it is. our speed round where we go through, we give our picks for this weekend's event, and we are gonna start with Triple A, ma'am. Hola de color. Right. All right, we have.
And I do know.
She does.
Sorry.
She does. Lord help. Offense. All right, we got Triple A Latin American Championship. There's a fatal 4-way. It's currently vacant. We have Damian Priest versus La Parca versus El Fiscal versus El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. Who you got?
Damian Priest.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's
Go ahead. Go ahead. Say it.
She's like, who are these people?
Go ahead.
I laughed way too loud. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with Damian Priest as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I'm gonna go
Because
with?
she was gonna try to say somebody else's name and she couldn't do it.
I was gonna say La Parca, but we're gonna go with Damian Priest.
I'm gonna go El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. That's where I'm going. Why? I don't know. Just because I think he's a top contender for titles at Triple A. So, but yeah, and also it's his home area. So he's homegrown in Triple A, and so I kind of feel like him or La Parca would be a good fit. But I think Dr. Wagner Jr. They tried to translate and move him over multiple times, so I feel like that might be their chance of doing that. Same. All right. I don't know.
Stop trying to get in the camera, child.
That's right, face. She said Dr. Wagner Jr. I know that's right. Hijo de. Right. That be kids out here. We legit moms, and we be out here like, no. See, that's what happens when I'm at the door with the dog. I gotta be like, no, stop. Don't escape. Anyway. All right, there is a Triple A Reina de Reinas Championship #1 contender gauntlet match. The winner will be facing Flammer at Triple Mania, which is coming up. I just want to say this because I don't know who's in there. I know we got a lot of people who might be doing it. I'm looking forward to seeing if I know Lola's getting ready to premiere in SmackDown, but she's had a very extensive AAA experience. I know we haven't seen Bailey. I'm sorry, Wrestle Faith out here making me laugh. No, we haven't seen Bailey in a while, but they love her in AAA. So I'm hoping that we get some new faces that'll help boost this division a little bit more because, Las Toxicas is out here killing the game, even though we don't see them nowhere else. All right, I'm not going to make y'all pick that. All right, we got the AAA World Tag Team Championship, the War Raiders versus Los Americanos.
Wait, time out. Hold on. Why are you not gonna let us pick? That's not fun.
Because I don't know who is in the match. I told you that. You want to just pick someone who's in the match?
I thought that's what you was gonna do. I thought you didn't want to do it because you thought we were gonna mess up the names.
No. Don't worry. Okay. I'm gonna give you your opportunity. Now back to the World Tag Team Championship. The War Raiders versus Los Americanos, and the War Raiders are opposite the champions. They never did finish that match.
I'm gonna say the War Raiders.
You're going War Raiders?
I don't think they're gonna take that off of them yet. Yeah.
I feel like we could go Los Americanos. I could go there. Because at the end of the day, I feel like that might be if they were going somewhere. And I also feel like I'm wondering what they're doing with the War Raiders. Period. Let's answer that. Okay. All right, Kevin, who you got for the championship?
I'm gonna go Los Americanos.
Mines are also a little bit sad. I'm a little sad about that too.
Well, I'm not gonna hold you. You have the Americans fighting the Americans. So does America win?
Anyway, AAA World Cruiserweight title, #1 contender, triple threat match. Minnie Vikingo versus Jack Cartwheel versus Nathan Frazier. So it's good to see him back there in his singles glory again. Who you got?
Wait, what? A cartwheel.
Mm-hmm.
Cartwheel? Okay. Who you got, Kevin?
Shall I say him again?
Yes. Minnie Velkingo versus Jack Cartwheel versus Nathan Fraser.
The first one.
Okay. You know what? I would go for Nathan Fraser. He said I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. I'm going Nathan. I can't with her. I know that's right, Faith. I can't with. You know what? We get to the point where it's getting late. We all like, yes. Here. All right. I'm sorry. Let's stay focused. We got a 6-man tag team match with Dragon Lee, Penta, and Rey Fenix versus Los Perros de Mal, Daga, Berto, and Angel with Carmen Petrovich. Vic Petrovich. Girl, we just gonna
Not the bad dogs and Angel and them. That sounds a little crazy. I'm gonna go with what's their names? Oh, Rey Fenix and Dragon Lee and whoever the other person was. That's who I'm going with.
Penta. Who's the other person?
Oh yeah. Penta. I thought I said Penta. My
I
bad.
told you they're brothers. Anyhow. Okay, cool. Who you got, Kevin?
I second that.
Yeah. I can't with y'all. You the worst. The point is, I'm also gonna go there, but not because I can't pronounce it, because I actually think they're gonna win. All right, Faith. Listen here, but it's Mini Velkingo. It's not the other Velkingo. The other Velkingo's out on injury, just so you know. Just want to prepare you. Anyway. And then we have a contract signing with Dominic Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, which will be moderated by Rey Mysterio. Let me tell you, this is going to be shenanigans galore. Because every time Dominic goes anywhere where his father is, he up to some shenanigans. Last week, Omos nearly killed Rey Mysterio and got suspended. So I feel like maybe he comes back. You have cups of tea? Well, we are welcome. You're welcome to serve while we're in here. Don't worry, because we still on wrestling for a little bit longer. All right, we're going to talk All In London at Wembley. I know. This one y'all going to be able to pick because there's English words here. So, some people refuse to practice Babel or Kiara-specific Duolingo lessons.
Well, to be fair, I knew what the words meant in English. So technically, I was practicing. Just maybe not practicing to pronounce it, but I knew what it meant.
Send help, Jesus. Anyway. All right. AEW World Championship. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. Who you got?
Will Ospreay.
Kenny Omega.
She know that with conviction. She said that with conviction. You know what? I am absolutely going Will Ospreay because I feel like they're ready to climb that mountain with him. I feel like he's been building up to this for a while. And Kenny's tripping, so I'm down with that. All right, we got AEW Women's World Championship. Willow Nightingale, who's the champ, versus Mercedes Moné. Who you got?
Willow.
I really do want Willow to win. But I don't know what's going to happen with this hand of hers.
All right, well, I already am saying Mercedes because they've been ready to crown her since she came back. So that's what it is. I'm sorry, Willow, about your hand, but it's time for Mercedes to be crowned because she's on a bit of a roll. All right, let's see. Didn't Dom just have a weird interview with El Grande's girlfriend?
He did.
Girl, I don't know.
He did.
I don't know.
No, he did. He did because Liv came and was like, he goes, "It's time for me to go," and then he left in the middle of the interview because she's like, "It's time to go." Never mind. I'm gonna keep my comment to myself because I was about to say something else crazy. So I'm just gonna.
All right, we got Candace over here. You think Will gonna win too? Okay, glad you throwing in with me. Cool. All right, Candace will retain together hand injury. It really, really, really does. I think I'm gonna need them again. I'm gonna need some holy water on everybody. Like I'm gonna need y'all not to be getting hurt no more. We ain't got time. We ain't got time for this. All right. Here we go. AEW World Tag Team Championship. Cage and Cope versus the Young Bucks. Who you got?
Well, Team Young Bucks. I was gonna say something crazy, so I just kept it PG.
Okay.
I think Cage and Cope are going to retain.
Really, Grandpa's?
Yeah.
The year of the Grandpa. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Years of the Grandpa. You know what? I hear it.
I think the Young Bucks are getting ready to set their legendary streak, so no.
Fine.
Ooh. All right, Faith, I'm gonna get to you in just a second. Don't worry. All right, so now we got the Continental Championship final with Jon Moxley versus Nigel McGuinness. Who you got?
Moxley.
I'm sorry. I was reading the comments. Say it again.
I'm gonna turn them off. You gotta stay focused. All right, I said Continental Championship final: Jon Moxley versus Nigel McGuinness.
Oh yeah, John.
Yeah, I'm gonna say with John because John, he's ruthless. He gonna make sure he wins. Poor Nigel will be bloody. I can guarantee that. All right, AEW International. Championship 3-way: Kyle Fletcher versus Okada versus Takeshita. Who you got? Now this one sounds delicious.
Well, you know how Takeshita and Okada, they don't like each other, and they always be doing something crazy. So I'm going to say it's the other one. I don't remember the name right now because I had to say so focused so I can say
Fletcher.
their names. There you go, Fletcher. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say Fletcher.
Totally fine. Hi, my Phoenix.
Oh, hi, niece.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, girl. I'm gonna
go. She joined us last time, and she was like, "I didn't hit Takeshka." Takeshka. You're gonna go with Takeshka? Okay. Well, here's the problem, because I know y'all don't got the tea. So Fletcher and Okada are also beefing in the Don Callis family, and Takeshka don't like nobody. So I don't even know. I mean, Kyle is current champion, but I'm gonna stay with Kyle because he's one of my favorites. Yep. Okay. All right, and we got TNT Championship Falls Count Anywhere with Kevin Knight versus Darby Allin. Sweet Jesus. I'm gonna need caffeine before this match.
Wait, what? I was reading the comments too. I'm sorry. Oh, Darby.
Who you got, Colin?
I would just go the opposite because why not?
Kevin Knight.
Yeah.
I think I want to stay with Kevin Knight, but Darby does the most crazy, insane things that I'm not really sure where that goes. So I'm a little messed up. All right, the men's casino gauntlet match, which I gotta tell you, by the way, MJF and Andrade are number 1 and 2 in this gauntlet match. So I don't know how that's gonna go. Remember I told you the way this gauntlet works is whoever gets it's a hot mess. Anyway, so far we have MJF, Andrade, Tommaso Ciampa versus Mark Davis versus Chris Jericho versus whoever comes later.
I'm gonna say Andrade. I think it's Andrade's time. And I'm gonna say Candace, I don't believe it. I don't believe it because they always go over 4 hours. I don't believe it.
I'm going to pray because let me tell you something. I ain't got the energy. That's a lot of stuff to be watching that day. So it better be less than 4 hours or I'm going to have to skip 0 hour. Anyway, so let's see. I'm going to go MJF. I think he wants. Yeah, I'm going to go MJF. So that's where I'm going. We have the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championships, Divine Dominion versus the Brawling Birds. Who you got? Look at her. Who is that?
The bird. Don't go with the birds. I'm like, no, I ain't going with the birds. We don't mess with birds. What is the other one's name? I'm gonna go with that.
Divine Dominion.
MAFS. Yeah, but they sound crazy too. So you know what? I pick no one.
You can't pick no one, ma'am. Why are you like this? You cannot pick no one. Aww. That made me all teary-eyed. Anyway, carry on.
Stop touching the buttons. Stop touching the buttons. Dang.
I didn't touch them. As you were.
I
Oh,
said
it doesn't
no,
include 0 hour, Candace? Hold on a second. Wait. It doesn't include 0 hour? Okay, so I already need to skip 0 hour. Thank you for letting me know. Anyway. All right, Candace said Brawling Birds. All right, Tanisha, you can't pick nobody. Who you pick?
I passed it to Kevlin.
Why is she like this?
Divine Dominion.
They are the current champions.
Oh, she said it was so much attitude.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's going to be the Brawling Birds because they're going to be in home territory. So, and Tony ain't like other people. He be letting people win in their hometown. That's where I'm going. All right, Tanisha, nothing.
No, I was reading Faith comment about Andrade and his pants and whatever she was saying. She gave him another name.
I'm sorry, I got confused.
Fine,
Now
I'll
you
go
got
with the
me
birds.
looking at the comment. Okay. Let me just pop this up here. He do. He do.
Okay, I'm going with the birds.
My husband watching this. The birds. Got you. The birds. Heard. All right. And now we have the last match we got, the AEW World Trios Championship. See, I don't want WWE to cap it is. That's all I'm saying. They got the Trios Royale Roulette match. And I'll say that 3 times fast. We got Hangman Adam Page versus Brodito. Excuse me. Versus the Bang Bang Gang versus the Conglomeration versus the Death Riders versus the Demand versus the Dogs versus a wild card entrant. And I got something to say about this. So I'm gonna let y'all go.
I'll go with the wild card since I'm the wild card.
I suspect.
Kevy said the Bang Bang Gang. Bang Bang.
Yes. I suspect this wild card might have something to do with Kofi and Austin Creed. So I don't know if I think they're gonna win. You're saying Swerve and Daybreak? Okay, maybe. That's possible. I feel like, I feel like it might have something to do with them. And would it be Swerve and, yeah, I get it, Candace. That's where I was going. I suspect we're going to have some people coming over with like Austin Creed and Kofi. And I think they're going to come over with Swerve. And therefore, I'm forced to pick Swerve today. Okay. Know that I am not doing that willingly. All right, now it's time for NXT Heatwave. And we got our NXT Tag Team Championship, Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights versus Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Who you got?
I got Miles and Tavon.
Okay. I am going Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes because they've been alluding to a lot this week about them having issues. All right. Kevlin goes to Bang Bang Gang. That was last time. All right. Who you got?
I said that already.
Yes, you did. Sorry. Who you got this time? Sorry. Faith is funny, though. I ain't going to hold you. I understand.
Sorry. You're gonna have to repeat it. I'm sorry.
All right, we got the Tag Team Championship, Miles Bourne versus Tavion Heights, who are champions, versus Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Who you got?
I'm going with Tavion.
And Bourne. Okay, cool. All right, Tavion and Bourne. So now we have Bourne doing a double duty. He's also going to be doing an NXT North American Championship title match with Jackson Drake. Who do you got?
Miles.
Jackson Drake.
I think he might keep his title with. I think he's going to keep this one. I think he's going to lose the other one. All right, we got a submission match. Natty versus Jada Parker. Who you got?
Jada.
Absolutely, Jada.
I'm going to go Jada also. I think we're going to just make it a three-way. Not Faith. Give me Baby Orton and his partner. All right, we got Women's Championship. Kendall Gray versus Kalani Jordan. Who you got?
I really want Kalani to win.
I do, man. I want her to win so bad. Not baby thoughts happening. I really want Kaylani to win. Like, I feel like she needs this. And I feel like I don't understand why she was good enough to get the TNA Women's Championship, but she's not good enough to get the NXT one.
I think this is Kalani's moment. So that's where I'm going. Or it better be. Facts. All right. We got the Women's North American and Speed Title Unification match. We got Zarya versus Ren Sinclair versus Callie Armstrong. Who you got? I know that's right.
Zarya.
Yeah, Zarya's probably going to win again.
I'm going to go with... This is hard. I really love Ren. So we don't get none for winning. So I am going to go with Ren Sinclair. I love her. She's just so delightful, that girl. All right. And then we have the NXT Championship Fatal 4-Way. Tony D'Angelo versus Grayson Waller versus Cruz Montana versus Zilla Fatu. Who you got?
I'm a toss-up between Cruz Montana and Zilla for this one, even though D'Angelo's a really, really good wrestler. But I think I'm going to go Cruz on this
one. Okay, Cruz Montana. All right, who you got?
I'm going to say I don't think they're going to take it off for Tony yet. I mean, I don't think they're going to take it off for Tony yet.
I think this is going to be a fantastic match. That's what I do think. I think Tony's definitely losing it. The question is to who. I'm going to go Cruz Montana. That's what I'm going to go. I'm going to go Cruz Montana. Faith says Zarya is my spirit animal. She's mine too. I'm not going to hold you. But I can't I can't pick her in that one. All right, like Zarya is my spirit animal. By the way, she's my version. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay. And then we got, I know I ain't gonna use those for that. Well, so I'll say nothing. I got it. Faith! Be offense. Jesus. All right. That was our speed round. But if Tony's losing it, give me the and that is why I picked him. That is exactly. He's pretty magical, and I would like it to be him. Anyway, all right. So you stay focused over here. All right. Now we're about to wrap things up with Married at First Sight because I got a lot to say about this. But I wanted to make sure we got our wrestling people taken care of first because y'all know y'all usually got to wait. But now we got to talk about this daggone Married at First Sight situation. And I need to talk about it with somebody. So, if you're now just joining us, we've been covering Married at First Sight this entire season. So, we were happy to see the end of the season, I feel like. I feel like we were happy to see the end of the season and a reunion. And there's, we have a lot to say about that. So let's just start it off by talking about Decision Day, which kicked off with Tori and Felipe's off-camera bombshell. So I want to know, was it worth the wait? What'd you think about it?
I feel like Felipe need to stop playing in people's faces.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
I think Tori, we gave it to him, and his face was just like, yeah, I know you're right. Dang. My parents, my mom. Oh man. Nah. And I'm like, well, why would you say that the day before? And then when what he said at the reunion, he was like, I I wanted her to break up with, like, it was like he didn't want to break up. And I was like, but you wanted her to break up with you. You said things to make her want to break up with. Yeah.
So let me tell you something. He could have let her go on the couple's retreat. Okay, they could have just stayed broken up because they had already broke up. And yet you came back in this room and you was playing in her face and you was playing in everybody's face. And you should not have been on this daggone show. If you want to be a swinger, go be a swinger. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you tell your people you good with it, y'all agreement, live your life. But Tori did not deserve to have all that done to her in the season. Not only did these experts take a faith-based woman and match her with an atheist, but they match her with an F-boy, not just an atheist. An F-boy who out here want to run the streets when you got somebody who look like Tori in front of you. So when the experts told him it ain't gonna get no better than that, I wanted to clap. I just want to tell Tori, if she out there, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I can't wait for your next chapter. God has something real good for you because you done been through it and he know. And Felipe, you need a therapist. You need a therapist right now. You better be in somebody's couch talking about how you need to unpack things. Now, if I talk about the reunion and his mama, Tori is magical. She's like a magical creature. Because I'm telling you, I almost didn't like almost anybody in that cast this year. But I liked Tori. And she was very classy. And she was very elegant. And she was still very articulate dealing with this nonsense that was Felipe. Okay, I just had to get out there. Was it worth the cliffhanger? Yes. Because we absolutely tuned in ASAP. Okay. But also, I'm tired of y'all playing in people's faces. Y'all ain't had to do that to her. She ain't deserve it. She did not deserve it. I feel like she's gonna be in therapy for the next year, dealing with the aftermath of Felipe's insanity. But the fact that she knew herself and she leaned into that was an example for any woman around the world who's not confused, who is confused about where they might sit in their relationship. You need to know you, and it needs to fall in line with you. Okay, I just had to get out there because I was real mad. Y'all, I was mad. His nonsense talking about he wanted to do a political career, then talk about on the reunion that he was joking. Like, don't play with us. Don't play with us. I felt like he needed more smoke on the reunion and he didn't get it. And that really bothered me. It really bothered me because he needed every bit of the smoke on that reunion. And he just like copped out. Like, he is sorry. Boy, please. So when she saw him and they walked to the couch and she was like, don't come near me, I said, He would have never seen me again. Not ever. This would be the last time you could see me online. And even then, he might get blocked. So, all right, I just had to get out there. All right, so we also know that we had Adam and Marissa's decision day, which, you know, what do you guys think about that?
I felt like Marissa definitely kind of took us for a roller coaster unnecessarily because she wasn't in it at all. And we was real confused. Just
I don't think. Well, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say I don't think she. Well, I didn't feel like she took me for a roller coaster ride. I feel like Adam did because Adam make it seem like he was all in, but then he wasn't all in, and then trying to make it seem like it was Marissa. I feel like, especially at the reunion, even like listening to the certain things, Adam was really probably hoping for to still continue their vibing in whatever shape, form, or fashion that have been in. And once that access got denied, he did stupid things to try to get her attention. And then ding ding ding, circle gets a square because You bring somebody that you were dating for 3 months and then go, no, I wasn't dating her for 3 months. I've known her for 3 months. Sir, which one is it? Which one is it? And you thought that that was going to sway Marissa to be like, oh my God, look, he got it. Look. No. Girl leveled up, got 2 businesses in a year, and looked at you and like, you look pathetic and desperate that you got somebody out here in the audience talking about, he's such a great guy. I don't know. You guys portrayed him so crazy because I don't even. Girl, you've known him for only 3 months. And it, like, they had to speed this process up. 6 weeks
Yep.
was like a speed up process of pretty much maybe every week was a year.
Yep. That's what it feels like. All right, let me tell you something about Adam. He was the most unserious part of this entire experiment. Like when Shawn said what he said to him during that dinner, I felt it because I was like, you're about the most unserious person ever. How are you supposed to take somebody serious when they only use words like vibe? You're a vibe. Like the letter that he had for her was so full of catchphrases that I literally was just like, you could have kept that letter. What I did feel bad about is that Marissa was real clear about her feelings. And I thought that the fact that she realized that he pulled away during that horrifying pickleball date, and she recognized that he stopped caring and he stopped putting on. But we didn't see that. So I said, what's up with the editing? Because the editing didn't show us none of that. But then also, I feel like this was another way that they was playing in her face. She is not a sober queen. She loved her some fun, a drink, a cocktail. But Mr. Sober, I'm so obsessed with sports. Like, you telling me in that entire questionnaire you thought they was compatible? Because I didn't think so. And what I felt like Marissa went through felt like they were just like almost tormenting her. And then the other piece about being confused, I do get that a little bit because she seemed happy, but I also don't know if that's editing. Except for when she was on some of those dinners and she was looking so annoyed and so ready to get out of there. But I couldn't tell if that was just her dealing with the entire cast situation or her dealing with Adam. So I feel like it wasn't super clear what kind of edit she got. I am glad that she was able to walk away, even with a ninja, because especially with the ninja, at least you got something not to deal, girl, because that thing is not cheap. And then also I feel like you said, she leveled up significantly. He absolutely played in her face with that hickey and that poor girl. But I'm gonna get to that when we get to the reunion part. But I'm just saying, like, that also.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've just been mixing everything together because I'm like, to me, they go interchangeable.
Yeah, it's okay because I feel like we could probably do that. But when we get to the next part, let's talk Mecca and Belle. And the way I was screaming at the TV, don't do it. The way I was screaming at the TV. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't really want to be with him. Because we had just seen the couples retreat and what had happened with him and Caitlyn. And listen, I don't know y'all, but if my husband in my face was kikiing with some female in front of me, he would know his behind was in trouble. He wouldn't be like, he. He'd be like, I'm gonna go away because my wife is looking at me like she might murder me. Like, I feel like that's a real clear assertion. But I also feel like because she was so accommodating for him, it gave him, I don't want to say permission, but it gave him license to do things that I don't think other people would normally do in the world, if that makes sense. The crazy part is that he was very much not necessarily as accountable as I would want him to be on the show himself. And then he would gaslight her and be like, I'm so sad. I'm this horrible person. I was like, you were playing in her face. Again, I feel like that was a theme of the season. But also, like, you were playing with her emotions. And that was very manipulative. Especially knowing, like, their history and the trauma that they both experienced. So I just was really upset about this entire experience. I wanted her to say no. on decision day and really to choose herself. That's where I went with that. So it's heartbreaking to me that she didn't choose herself on that day, because while she did look happy, it just didn't, knowing what I knew, I just didn't feel like it was going to last. And I really feel like you teach people how to treat you. And once you set the stage for like, I'll accommodate things, some people will walk over that.
I mean, I will say I did want them to be together. I felt like no relationship is perfect. Every flaws in the fact that it was a sweet process. So I do wish that he would have showed up better for her, for sure. Especially like, there's ways to sit here and like, yeah, no, like she's not typically my typical dream girl, but you know, like, but she rocks with me. Like, I felt like he could have defended her a lot differently than what he did. I really was rooting for them because they were the same age. I'm always with people being the same age, because I feel like if you're the same age, you kind of have your expectations is not of someone who's older than you and you're younger. And that play in like, you know, you being more mature than one person or whatever the case is. So I felt like for them being where they were, I think that it would have taken time. Now, knowing the things that I know now, I get it. I understand. I think he definitely wasn't ready either. But I also feel like it was his trauma that I don't think they even really worked through either. Like, you had them in couple counseling talking, but y'all didn't really work through the traumas that needed to get worked through to make them successful too, in that way, right? Because we know Mecca had issues with women, and it makes sense because the two important people, like they say, right? They say your parents are the models of the relationship of the people that you're going to be with, right? So if you have two of the women who are supposed to be your idea of what a woman's supposed to be, what they're supposed to do, and they abandon you, then yeah, you're going to think everybody abandoned you. So I also felt like she was trying to prove that I'm not going to leave. Like, I'm going to stay there. And then I think that also gave him the comfortability going, oh, she leave me. So I can just show my ass. And clearly that backfired.
It did. It did.
What you
Any
feel,
thoughts,
Kevin?
Kevin?
I felt like, all in all, that Belle did her best. In that whole experience, I feel like she showed up well. I felt like she defended him. I felt like she genuinely fell in love with Mecca during this experience. And I feel like throughout the experience, he did let her down. And she still chose him in the end, instead of herself. I do feel like she was on fire at the reunion, which I kind of wish she would have got some of that smoke earlier on, because it kind of felt very, to me, it felt very for the cameras to try to save face for what I didn't do before. That was me. That's how I took it. Because she knew who she was as a person and what she wasn't going to accept going forward. So just be real with that, be honest with that, and give him that before decision day.
Yeah.
Don't wait to the reunion to pop off, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I definitely think, like I said, this is why I always say you teach people how to treat you. Like, that's why you always got to nip it in the butt at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, the more you're there, the more you get invested, the more you start accepting things that you might not have accepted before, right?
Yeah.
Now you're suddenly like, well, I've been with this person, so like, you know, we've been together, and this is not that big a deal. But a lot of times when you do that, you don't listen to that voice that's inside. And I think it leads a lot of women to kind of ruin in a lot of ways of feeling like you start to lose yourself. And I feel like that's one of the things that clearly happened. And I think it is indicative of her trauma, right? Because she's had the same kind of issues Mecca did, just with men, right? So I'm like, the problem I had was to see her accommodate and give, because we do that as women. Like, we give and we give, and we want to know that you have a safe space and that you can come to us and we can be there for you. And we don't necessarily hold them accountable when they should, which is why I'm a big component of teaching people how to treat you, because I need to be able to look in the mirror after this and be proud of what I said. But I think that we get in the sense of, we think that love has no limits. And I think that's where we often go wrong. It's like, I'll love you unconditionally. Yeah, I can love you unconditionally, but I can also decide that I can't be with you. And I think we have a hard time differentiating. Now, when it comes to the reunion, I definitely was proud of her, Smoke, because she did clearly see what we thought about it online. I think that was kind of the dangerous part this year, is that the cast was online with us, giving their thoughts and feelings. And I know it had to be like traumatizing to see people talking about you. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you forgiving this? Why is that a red flag that you didn't see? And then to hear her story specifically about, him getting drunk and calling her somebody else's name, him not showing up the way she needed him to show up. And so that only lasting 3 weeks later, I'm glad she saw it through, because I think sometimes that's what we need, is to be able to say we did what we could and we saw it through. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that she came out on the other end stronger and more confident and more sure of herself. I'm just sad she had to go through all of this in the meantime, because falling in love is something we do naturally, right? It's something that is very happy and bubbly. And it's like, that's what this show drives me a little crazy about, is that because it's such a rushed process, people don't often think about like what that rush looks like. That rush is 6 weeks to fall in love, to figure it out, to know whether you're compatible, to have all the conversations. And a lot of the conversations were based on a life after, but not necessarily your hard lines and soft lines. Like, here's what I need as a partner. Can you do that? And I think they were relying on the experts to do that. But I think in the long run, that's something you always have to do, no matter if a matchmaker puts you with somebody, is to say, like, because they still don't know you. So it's like, this is a hard limit for me, which takes me to Nikki and Shawn.
I had high hopes. Well, let me start before you go on your.
I have a lot of thoughts.
I'm going to say, I had high hopes. Now, yeah, I know that, they had their issues, but I felt like there were two alphas always trying to compete for who is the alpha in the family. And it definitely brings me, and I'm not sure if she is, and I haven't looked this up, so don't beat me up, don't get on me or whatever, but we was talking, and then I also feel like, Nikki was giving the only child syndrome. Like, it's my way or no way, and if you can't give it to me, then I don't know. And to be fair, Shawn kind of was giving me that too, because when he started talking about his family, and I was like, you don't seem like a family guy either. Like, you just seem like you're in your little bubble, and you stay in your bubble, go out there to venture out, do what you need to do, and come back. Like, that's what I felt, and I am going to sit here and say, like, the things he said in the beginning, like, I have gotten two of everything. I am ready for the bunny. Yes, because when we saw your apartment, you did not have two of everything, okay? You look like a straight up bachelor that was not prepared for this life at all. Like, I don't even, like, Nikki seemed more prepared to have this life than you did. Like, I'm just not saying that you need to have a house, but you made it seem like you were.
Yeah, you were planning for the future.
Right. Now, to decision day, I felt like they were getting somewhere. I remember I told you that he would try to bring back the tools that they were learning in therapy, and like, let's use these. I was very impressed by seeing two well-educated Black people trying to be together, knowing that they're really well-educated to use words and all this other stuff. I'm just fascinated by that. Anyway, So I
Okay.
felt like they were getting somewhere. I felt when Nikki was telling him, she came in soft, she came in like, I'm ready for this. And then it took him to interrupt her and say something. And then I was like, oh, it's over. It's a wrap. She's going. Y'all saying couldn't shut up. Like you just weren't. You just was like you had to get your words. And then even when we get to the reunion, they're like, he has to take 10 minutes to 15 minutes to give us the answer to the question. It was like he was writing an essay. Like I needed to write a detailed essay and to explain. I needed my evidence. I needed to bring 2 or 3 pieces of articles and to explain why you know it's happening.
Right.
Now, do I Nikki having all this animosity and heat at the no? And I think her trying to protect her mom, but her mom was asked a question, and then this is where Adam gets on my nerves because to me he's also an instigator because he was
Yes.
just like, hey, that doesn't sound genuine. Da, da, da. Like why? Because for what? And then you like cut the mic, girl. You're not that important to be telling somebody to cut the mic.
True.
I don't know. I'm about to go on a whole time. I feel like I'm getting too about something about 2 people that aren't in my life.
Fair. Fair. I have a lot of thoughts about Nikki and Shawn, and I will say I also had high hopes because I was like, this is kind of different. We don't normally see like 2 successful Black people paired up like this. And then that quickly went to hell because what I do see is having had to grow up in corporate America, you often have to put on a presentation for work, right? Which is a little bit different than who you are. So being on the show had to be kind of, I don't want to say a mind F, but kind of where you're trying to figure out like how to maneuver properly, knowing that you still have to live out there too. And Shawn noticed that's how he got in trouble and got fired. But like the truth of the matter is, I don't think either one of them were actually ready. But I think that Nikki's behavior was a trigger for him. That's what I think. I think he went into the show. He did say, like, that like he has all these things, his personality. He didn't really talk about his looks very much. He seems, I don't say humble, but just like knowing that he needs to bring more to the table than just what he looks like. Ooh, excuse me. So when he had the audacity to like say some of the things he said, it really bothered me because part of showing up for somebody else is understanding their hard lines and their soft lines. And that's why I said like that's an important conversation you have to have no matter who you are, whether you're a matchmaker or you just meeting somebody in these streets. But listen here, Nikki was mean from the jump. Going to that altar and not knowing that he was the groom and then not really apologizing for that. She showed a lot of her emotions on her face, which, we all do, but not accounting for that later. Like, can you imagine meeting the person you want to marry and you don't like them and they don't like you and like, or you do like them and they don't like you and you're in defense mode. It was further emphasized as things went on. And then they just lost each other. They lost each other in translation, I feel like both of them are alphas. Nobody wants to play beta. And one of the important parts about being an alpha in a relationship or having 2 alphas in a relationship is knowing when to play your role and being able to support each other as needed. But I could not see this working because it was so defensive on both sides. There was a huge set of egos involved. Nobody wanted to bend. No one wanted to like remember why they did this experiment in the first place. Everyone was getting caught up on the trivial. Shawn was getting caught up on the physicality. Nikki was getting caught up on the emotional connection. And they just had different love languages, which I feel like is a completely like, how did y'all miss this in the experiment? How could you miss that physicality is such a huge, important part for him and Nikki, but only with Nikki if you have an emotional connection. So I was like, I feel like there were caveats that just were not considered for each of them. or maybe they just were not honest about what they really wanted. Because I feel like in this experiment, it's only as good as the data you give it, right? And people want to be picked so bad that sometimes they're not as clear, like Adam, on
I'm
like
about to
the
say like
things
as that Adam, because he sure wasn't. They played that back, and he said, "Well, I didn't realize it was." No, you did. You did. You knew.
right. And for Nikki, I feel like the conversation should have been really on the onus on his personality and his approach and his love language, right? Like these things were so important to you, then they should have been top of mind. Not how much money he made, but literally looks matter and here's what I want. You know what I mean? And there is a point where she could have done that, and that's where the experts come in and mix some stuff up and all of that and hope for the best. But this was just putting two completely different people with different love languages together like spaghetti on the wall and watching them scramble. But I also think if you knew that you were doing this experiment and anywhere in the experiment you didn't feel comfortable, you didn't feel like this is something you wanted to do, you should have stepped away. And I'm like, instead of punishing him for the fact that he is not what you want, you can acknowledge that he's not what you want, that he doesn't have the values that you do, and you can walk away instead of holding on to the rest of the experiment, not introducing him to your mother, even though you said you would, when you could have just been like, I don't know yet. You could have just done that. But family is a part of this experiment. So to me, it just was a complete mismatch. I don't think either one of them should have been on the show. I don't think either one of them should have been matched with anybody. Because I think
I mean, to
they
be
have
fair,
more
I
work
think
to do.
she should have definitely introduced him to his mom. Sorry.
To her mom? Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I heard you.
No, I feel like he definitely should have had she should have introduced him to her mom so her mom could have set him straight in those moments. Because you're like, I protect my mom. Girl, I protect my mom too. But you want to know what she will do? She will meet the person that I'm talking to know, especially in this setting, right? It wasn't like you were just casually dating him. Y'all got married.
But
So
she also met him at the wedding. So it's not as though you're introducing him for the first
right.
time. Which is also what made me
But you were just
like,
like
what are you doing? But also, like
she
we
kept
said
saying
before,
he wasn't her safe space.
like we said before, like if you tell your mama everything, then she know everything. So it's hard to come back from that. I just think, again, I just feel like these two were ill prepared for this experiment and they should not have been chosen. And I was really devastated by that because I was excited that they were older. And I was hoping that would contribute to much more of a lasting, true connection versus a lot of times when you match these young people and there's just like, they don't know who they are yet. But you were older. You knew who you were. And this wasn't working. But also, sidebar, if you say something, you need to own it. Like Nikki said things that she didn't want to own, but didn't correct in other settings. He said things that he didn't want to own and didn't want to correct in other settings. Like, you two are the same person, and that does not work. But you should have stepped out of this experiment instead of trying to see it all the way through the end and tormenting both of you. And honestly, I don't even just want to put that on Nikki. I would put that on both of them. Like, both of you had the ability to do that and should have done it.
I also feel too that at the reunion, she has so much heat and he was just calm. And he's not giving her the time of day or that he would give her any other time. Because, and I feel like that just made her more mad and more mad. And I'm just going, girl, what he's trying to tell you is he apologized. He even did a public apology online to you as well.
He did.
He has moved on. Like, he's like, I'm cool on you. And once again,
but the way he said it was the problem.
I mean, to me, no. Because to me, even let's say, remember, I was like, oh, they probably still, see each other here and there and get little rocks off or whatever. But even that, I don't think that is even what happened. But I also feel like I feel like at these reunions, and maybe what I was hoping that eventually you would see the thing and be like, all right, I was wrong. The little blah 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 blah. This is where we went wrong. Da 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 da. But to have her have so much anger and animosity, and then especially when he was just talking to her mom and just saying, "Hey, I apologize." What else did you want him to say? Because your mom said she wasn't going to get into any specifics of what she felt was disrespectful or what she felt was happening. And I think mom should have said, "Hey, I didn't like how you was talking to my daughter," and da 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 da. So then, if you want the apology, he can give the appropriate apology. Because to me, I ain't seen nothing wrong with him apologizing. I'm sorry that you feel that I was being disrespectful. I'm sorry, da, 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 da. And that was it. I didn't feel like he was being disrespectful to her mom. I feel like her mom was receiving that information. Like, no. So I don't know where I was going with the story, but yeah, I don't know. I lost my whole thought. Sorry.
I don't even think he owed the mom an apology. Like, here's the problem. You didn't want her to be on the show, but you brought her on the show. You didn't want her to be the focal point of any conversation, but you brought her to the reunion. Whose fault is that? Now, Candace mentioned editing in here, and I will say the edits were crazy. I will say that the edits were crazy. That's true. But I will also say, like, they didn't give us all the information, nor would they, because they're still creating a storyline. But that's where the cast comes in, and they're supposed to fill in the blanks. My biggest issue here is if you watch the way the cast approaches, it's not even my biggest, it's many, right? I don't even want to say it's the biggest. When the cast approaches any opportunity to be engaged with Shawn, they roll their eyes. They don't like him. So already you have an environment where people don't like you. Then you add that to a wife who continually tells you she ain't attracted to you. Now, this ain't my first season of Married at First Sight, so I have seen this a lot where people are not attracted to their meat. And they're like, this ain't gonna work. And some of them decide to dip out early, and some of them decide to ride it out because it's not just about looks. But for Nikki, there had to be a point in time where she was like, I'm out. This ain't gonna work. And why I commend her for not wanting to end it and not wanting to end the experiment. You know that you can't tell me that there's not a point in time where you're like, this ain't gonna work. I don't like him. They had so many blow-ups that it was so unhealthy and so much of a distraction from why they were actually there. So I'm just like, listen, man. I understand, even beyond all of that, right? Like, even beyond all of that, the way you talk to somebody matters. Everyone should have that basic level of respect for other people, whether you like them or not. You can keep it brief. You don't have to be long-winded. But those two throw jabs back and forth all the time. They fight, they argue. That's why I was like, y'all like the same person, and this ain't gonna work. Because the way that they speak to each other is so volatile that I was like, is it not on anyone else in the production to be like, I don't think that we should let them keep going? Or even to say, I've seen producers in the past and be like, are you sure you want to keep doing this? Like, and I feel like this new production crew that came in were less interested in these people's well-beings. But even so, I think there was a point where she was like, I'm a good person, but are you? Because I don't think either one of you are good people. I think you endeavor to be good people, but I don't think you showed up as good people, because good people treat each other with respect. And that's not what either one of them did. Okay, I'm done with my diatribe, but that's all right.
Have you got anything to add for Nikki and Shawn?
I mean, I feel like you two kind of hit it on the head. I felt like Nikki was definitely tough to get along with. And I feel like for most of it, even though he put his foot in his mouth a lot, he really did try to get along with her. He did try to put his best foot forward. He did attempt to. I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like Shawn showed up in this experiment and Nikki did not. And I'm gonna be very transparent about that because I feel like, hold on one second, sweetie. I feel like even all the way up until the end. Hold on one second.
Yep. I mean, I think where she's going with this. Go ahead.
Even all the way up until the end. She's not gonna let me talk.
I got it. So all the way over to the end, I think what you're saying is like he kept trying. He kept showing up. He kept using tools, right? He kept trying to like make it work. Whereas sometimes Nikki just seemed so combative that it seemed impossible. But I also think we have to account for him putting her in some really uncomfortable positions, like in a way. Because his conversation, in a way, because I will say, I am the type of woman who appreciates a candid conversation about what you expect, right? So I don't think I would have been as upset about his conversation about needing, release and like, that would not have bothered me because I feel like, thank you for sharing. I don't know you. How do I know what you need? But again, that's where it comes to communicating soft lines, hard lines, things you need. And I felt like he communicated that. Where he went wrong is that he tried to persuade her he was right. But isn't that human?
Yeah.
Isn't that human? So I'm like, I appreciate his candid.
I'm going to also say I felt.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, to really, if we look back, I felt like Nikki checked out after the wedding. At the wedding, she checked out, but she couldn't back out because she said she was going to. And I think that's where that disconnect kept happening. And it wasn't until they did something sexual where she was like, oh, okay, wait. Yeah. Oh, maybe I got some, babe. But I felt like still, every time she looked at him, she was like, but I really don't like you like that. Like, I don't, it's great what we doing, but I don't really like it. Like, you can still see it. And I feel like sometimes, like, where I thought, like, especially at the retreat and stuff, I was like, oh, you know what? I think, because, I was always rooting for them. Always, even though with all the, but I was just like, wow, look at them. Like, they just out here just talking to each other, like, oh, hi, I feel you tell everybody I said hi. And it's also, too, where it's also, like, in my head, you were protecting your mom, but you were all in his family's life, which made no sense. You were all up in his family's life. Like, hey, how you doing? You doing this? Like, oh, because I was even like, the fact that you didn't go, I understood because y'all were filming and stuff like that. But at the same time, you guys seemed like this could work. We're trying. But I think every time she was like, you ain't cute. And I think that just kept playing back in her head.
No, really.
I mean, attraction matters. It does matter. And I think that's anytime you see this experiment, like I said, they've done this experiment for 20 seasons, and I've seen a lot of them. And attraction has always mattered. There are some people who are able to get through it, mostly women. Mostly women. Because I think we have a caveat sometimes where we're like, if you got everything else, and I might be able to make allowances for some of these things. But I also feel like with Nikki in particular, there is just this, maybe she did stop showing up, but I thought she really tried harder towards the last 2 weeks of the experiment. I did think some of the things he said was inappropriate, but I also, like I said, I appreciate that kind of candid conversation because I need to know what you're thinking so that I can answer it. Exactly. Jamie and Doug from season 1 got through it. And they're not the only ones. There were other people in other seasons who were like, I don't know, this ain't my thing. And then they were like, I kind of love you. Like, I don't know what happened here. And that happens. I've seen it in real life. You're like, I don't really like this person. But the more you spend with that person, you're like, I kind of like this person. Like, and now I love this person because they've showed up for me. She talks a lot about psychological safety. And I was like, did you provide that psychological safety?
Absolutely not. She did not.
Not even a little bit.
I don't think she did either. And I think, again, they were so reactive to each other. They were so reactive to, like, You said something, so I'm gonna get you. And it's like, could y'all not have just put the daggone guns down and been like, point blank, period? I'm never like, I think he should have set the stage. Like, I don't ever want to hear you say you're not attracted to me again. Like, we have reached it. I understand it. I don't want to hear it. Because how would you feel if that was you? And that's my thing. Like, did you think?
And she
about
did.
the
She
other
had
side?
she had a problem when he said she was a 7 in New York, and I'm going, well, girl, yes. I mean, I would be a 7 in New York because I mean I'm in New York, and I'm not a 7. I'm 7.
She wild out here. You not. But I'm just saying, like, that is, if you could put the weapons down and just come as you are, could that not have worked? But fundamentally, you two are just not prepared to do the work that requires for that. And that to me is the biggest problem. This experiment you have no control over. You're just there. So you got to give up that control. And did they? No. Because he tried to, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get physical. You know what I'm saying? What he should have said is physicality is a huge part of my love language. So in order to feel connected to you, which we're going to get into Devin and Caitlin in a minute,
Yes.
that's what I need. I need that. Which is what I think he was trying to say in a way that just did not come out well. Because I wish my husband would tell me about my wifely duties. I might throw a shoe at his head. Like, I got your wifely duties. She over here with this heel. You know what I'm saying? But I also feel like that's a communication tool. That should not have been a hard stop. It should have been like, listen, you pushing it. And then eventually you did it though, right? And enjoyed it on camera. Ain't nobody asked him to come out the thing with the robe open. But you know what I'm saying? He was happy. I think someone else like said this is like, I couldn't, it looked in a way like some guys like, I can't get this girl, and then he's like, oh, I'm a getter. So it became like I'm a getter, I'm a getter, I'm a getter. And he put it on her. And he was like singing, he was singing and swinging. And that's
He was.
Like, I did my thing and she happy. But all
And
that
she
is
sure enough
surface.
came out. She was like, I'm not gonna tell y'all what we did. Okay, we didn't go all the way. I'm like, yes, y'all did. Stop lying. You did some, and it wasn't
You
just
went far further
halfway.
than where we probably know.
Mhm.
And I'm good. I don't want to know. But I also feel like, you know, like, geez, people, it's an experiment. But you can't walk away. And I keep seeing all this online discourse about him being a predator. I don't know what's going on over there. About him being a predator and all this and that. And I was like, I don't know if I think he's a predator. I think he was real clear about his expectations. I think Nikki had every right to say, I'm not down with this and walk away. But she didn't. And I'm like, so did she really feel like that? Or are y'all putting y'all feelings on to Shawn? Period. So I was just like, can we just not give them grace? And at the end of the day, like, admit that they both are imperfect people who did imperfect things and like call it a day. Instead of necessarily being like, you're worse than that person. Like, listen, y'all both didn't show up well, just so you know. Just want to put that out there. All right. I think it's time to move on to Devin and Caitlin because, oh, sweet Jesus Christ. Listen here. What happened here? Like, Devin and Caitlin. Caitlin, girl, you crazy. Because the way Devin showed up for you, I don't know. When's the last time my husband was like, oh, I watched Taylor Swift with you? I don't know. First of all, I'm not into that. But if I was, I'm pretty sure he would have been like, nope. Like, you're on your own, sis. Sorry. We don't have to have all the same hobbies. But like, he made so many allowances and so many attempts. And Homegirl was just as bad as Miss Courtney. Like, I want my space. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to touch you. And Devin is very attractive. So I don't know where that went. I'm confused. She just wouldn't let her guard down, I feel like. And she needed more therapy, again, going into this experiment. Because clearly she was still affected by some of her previous relationship baggage. Yeah, still. Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
You're fine. Yeah, out here wilding. It's fine.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yes, I definitely for sure feels like she just didn't appreciate it. But I also feel like she just wasn't ready. I think not ready, but I think if they had more time versus 6 weeks
Right.
and not have the pressure, I think it would have worked. Now, granted, her at the reunion, she's like, "Oh, I found my person," and I was like, "Girl, what?"
I think
He didn't even
maybe at her own speed. There's it. Maybe she
speed.
again. Like,
Mhm.
and again, they had
Thing,
different
I
levels
think.
with this.
Hi.
There's so many hands on there. It's like AI.
It's like,
There's so many hands happening. There's so many hands happening.
I do think she missed out on a good thing, but I do. I think if they had more time, then yes. I think if she would just listen, I think they would have been okay. But then this is the first time I actually heard that they off camera, y'all weren't hanging out with each other, and I'm going, that's kind of crazy because
That's
that should have been a requirement.
crazy.
That should have been a requirement. Like, we are doing this experiment, so we also should be doing this off
But
camera.
didn't that make it more obvious as to why he felt disconnected from her?
Yes.
Like, I was like,
Now
once
it
we
made it
found
more
out that,
obvious.
I said, oh, because at first we're like, why he? I mean, like, I understand because some men need again that like physical connection. They need to be able to feel like they need to feel connected to you in whatever way you allow it. But if y'all wasn't hanging out off camera, what?
Now it made sense why
He
it
was
was like,
confused.
because you
Yep, it
weren't
did.
really giving your all into this experiment. And then that also makes me question: was everyone like that? So then, when the cameras was off, were everybody disappearing and going away? And only people who weren't was Michelle and Cam.
I mean, Michelle and Cam and maybe Courtney
Oh.
and Courtney, maybe she couldn't get away from Nick fast enough. So I don't know. Oh, Lord. What's going on? Courtney couldn't get away from Nick fast enough. She was like, listen,
Wait,
I'm out here.
did she do the shimmy? Did she do the shimmy? She was like, "Hey."
These kids out here. Don't worry, we about to wrap up.
Yeah, mostly. I think it's time for us to wrap this up.
I think so. All right, I briefly do want to talk about Courtney and Nick, though. I felt really awful for Nick because Courtney was unlikable. She was very mean. What's with this theme of mean women this season? Like, what's that about? Like, you can treat people with basic levels of respect. Homegirl needed to be drawn and quartered on that daggone reunion. And I didn't appreciate how they didn't call her out. I don't appreciate how none of the women called each other out as they should have. Because being a good friend means telling your friend when she's tripping.
Well, Belle did call out Caitlyn, was like, "I love you, but you were wrong." And let me explain why you were wrong. So I feel like that. But no one really was calling out Courtney.
Did she apologize?
Which she did. Caitlyn apologized.
Okay.
Because I feel like Caitlyn and Devin was the only one that didn't have arguments. They didn't have nothing. They were just like, you could tell that they were probably like, they could have been friends later. Like, like.
Well, she said she talked to him after. So it seemed like they're in a better.
There was no.
Yeah.
They're in a different, definitely different space, happy space, whatever the case is. I feel like that was cool. But for Courtney, she is so unaware of her being mean. But then again, I did feel bad when Adam was being mean because I was like, you're just being a jerk just because they called you out on your stuff and you had to take it out on somebody. I don't.
But also, Adam.
Yeah.
I think Adam was taking up for Nick here. I think that's what Adam was doing because I think when she said what she said about Adam in front of Nick, it was disrespectful. Like, he's the hottest one here. And Nick's like, am I just chopped liver? I'm just sitting here unknown, unseen. Like, that's crazy. And I was like, Nick's handsome. I don't understand. But also, like, that was disrespectful. And I think Adam was trying to get back at her. I think Adam was trying to get back at her and being like, I would never pick you. And she couldn't take it. And that's my problem with her. She can dish it out, but she can't take not a daggone thing. And you know what? If you can dish it out, you're going to have to be able to take it. You don't get no sympathy over here. Zero.
That's true. I mean, this is also where we were sitting here saying Marissa and Nick would have been, and find out that they actually was like, we actually thought about pairing the opposite. And I was like, I should have definitely put Marissa with them.
You should have put Marissa with Nick. They might still be married to this day. Okay. Because Marissa is, I feel like Nick would have been so interested in her and who she was and like trying to drive. But the only problem I had is they're both very passive. So I'm like, maybe they would not have worked because neither one of them dug deep enough. But I felt like with prompting, she did try to do that with Adam. He just ain't had nothing to add to the equation. So maybe they could have worked. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like they probably did more of a like, who can stir more stuff together versus like who's gonna maybe make it work. So I do think it would have been a better match though. It definitely wouldn't have been traumatizing. He probably wouldn't have ended the experiment like she's the meanest thing ever. That piece too. Because ooh child, she was mean. Courtney was mean. Courtney was mean. Caitlyn was disrespectful. I do want to say I want to applaud Devin for putting his boundaries there and following them. Like, I told you not to talk to me like that, and you still did. And so now I'm done. And I was like, ooh, I would have sat up straight. Hurt. I got it. Like, I'm not going. I appreciate if you can have that kind of conversation where you check somebody. Okay, was there anything from the reunion that caught you off guard?
No, I said everything.
Yeah. The only thing from the union I think we haven't talked about is the end, where the experts were like, we're going to do a podcast. And I was like, I'm not listening. I do not want none. Because y'all did not, it was not balanced. It was not. Y'all didn't call out Courtney. Y'all was Courtney, my girl. Y'all wanted to like draw and quarter.
No, he did call out Courtney. He said you can't, you sitting there and you can't dish it out.
Yeah, but they didn't talk to her about it. They just mentioned that piece. And I was like, but y'all was all up in everybody's thing. And even
but I also feel like that could have been the editing too.
It could have been. You're right. It could have been the editing. That's true. I'm not going to disagree with that because, you know, that's a lot of footage to have to get through. I just felt like maybe the editing the season, it was dramaful. It was the most dramaful thing of all. Like I said, that podcast for them, I don't want none. I wouldn't
because
read it.
When they did the little reel.
Yep.
Because when they did the little reel of all these different things, I was like, when was that? When did Caitlyn and Devin do that? I was like, where were we? I don't know where none of these things happened. So I felt like I
don't remember when most of that happened in the season.
When Devin and Caitlyn was kissing with a flower dress on? I don't remember that.
Oh no. That was I think that was the wedding?
No.
It wasn't? Okay, well I thought it was the wedding. But also this format was very different from previous years. Like it was completely different. They had 1 month anniversaries. They had dinners and lunch with the families. Like they had to do these things. Whereas this one was a little bit loosey-goosey, I feel like. It was just like, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Like that I think was a problem. I think this format is very weird. But I do appreciate that it was very dramaful. I mean, it definitely wasn't a boring season. We was in our thoughts and feelings throughout the entire thing. I'm trying to think, is there anything else we need to talk about here that we did not talk about? Let's see.
Oh, congratulations to Cam and Michelle for sticking through and staying through.
I know.
Sorry that you had to go through all of that. And, you know, but at least you guys are doing well and happy.
Yes. But y'all also was stirring some stuff. I did appreciate Nikki calling out Michelle, telling her to mind her business, basically, about her relationship. That's the other piece, too. These group dinners were better. I appreciate them doing that because I don't think that's happened again in seasons past. But some of it felt like very produced in the sense of, like, how can I start up drama? Like, even when they were at the couples retreat and those questions were the worst things I've ever heard in my life. They were just trying to stir up misery, I feel like, in some cases. And I was like, I don't know. This format is something different. I don't know if I could deal with too much more of it because I was like, this was very, which is also why I said I'm not watching that podcast. I don't want none. I don't want no advice from the experts. I did appreciate Paul. I thought he did a good job, but again, you got to be able to call everybody out on their stuff, which he did on numerous group sessions. That was enjoyable.
That's why I was like, I mean, you know, Paul, I'll like listen to Paul, but I don't know about her. But anyway, but we have been here for a long time.
Yes, and I think we're time ready to wrap up. So with that, like I said, we have this great weekend of wrestling. Evelyn, did you want to add anything to Married at First Sight conversation before we dip out?
Not really.
Cool. All right, with that, like I said, we've had a very good time talking today. Great wrestling weekend. We have a lot to look forward to. We'll see you guys next week with all of our recaps because we're going to be hard at work watching all the things this weekend. And with that, I want to remind you that we are a podcast. So where can you actually follow us, Tanisha?
So you guys can listen to us on hold on, wait. I haven't done this in a while. You can listen to us on Amazon Music, Amazon Audible, Pocket Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. And of course, you can follow visually on you can follow _Mama Pod on Instagram and on TikTok. Kiara at Kiara on brand everywhere. When I say everywhere, everywhere. And on Twitter or X, you can follow her as Content Vixen. And Kevlin is in witness protection because we said so. So
That's right.
if you really want to follow her, you can follow her on YouTube at Kevlin Mama. I don't even know.
Mama Pod.
Because she's in witness protection.
You have to look
Yep.
it up. You have to look it up. Fair. Also, I want to remind you that you can check out our website. You can visit maineventmamaspodcast.com for all the things podcast. We're going to get back on schedule with our episodes every Thursday and Friday. So I know that you guys have been missing some of them. I still have that Dark Side of the Ring sitting here in my editing, and we'll get it done as soon as possible. But I just want to say, don't forget to like and subscribe on every single platform before I forget, because don't forget to like this in case, you know, if you want to see more. Also, don't forget to follow us on Patreon. We have some changes coming to some of our platforms, so stay tuned. If you join us on Patreon, if you follow us on our socials, you're going to get those updates because we're about to launch our own Discord. So you can get in there with us as we watch all of our TV shows. I'm sure if you watched our Beauty in the Black episode, I'm pretty sure we're coming back. I feel like we're coming back for this next season.
I'm too excited.
So we got that to do. So there's a lot of things happening in the background. Even if you don't see us out here every day, make sure you're inviting people into the Mama Squad. We have a good time. We talk about all the things, and we love interacting with you. And so I want to say we're not new to this.
We're so true to this. And this was Main Event Mamas Live. I don't know if it was Midday with Moms. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It wasn't.
Night.
Y'all have a great weekend. See y'all later.
Event mamas bringing the heat.